Warrior Lore. Chapter 950, Filthy Rich. Chapter 950, Filthy Rich. Proofreader, Papatonks. Rumble. The huge carriage was rushing through the snowy wasteland, shaking now and then. Juefan, who lay inside on the carpet, maybe one bump had been too hard to ignore. Maybe his yuan qi reserves were back. All that it mattered was that he roused, his dried lips parting to speak weakly, "Young Sanzi, young Sanzi." Then he just bolted to his feet, shouting his son's name in panic. He was filled with fear and regret of what might have happened. He knew he just woke up from blacking out, but what about young Sanzi? With no one to stop his bleeding or take him to Western lands, his life would slip away with every drop of blood. Juefan's brow shook and clenched his fists. The regret inside him threatened to consume him whole. How could he just black out and leave his wounded son uncared for while he rested? He was so consumed in his thoughts and feelings, he failed to notice the missing cold and snow. God damn it. What's with that racket? You scared me to death. Another shout came that made him flinch. Only now he took in his surroundings, the ever-moving carriage. Across from him was a cute and lovely lady of 17. She was holding an adorable boy of 8, who was looking pale and recovering. Juefan eased a breath and scanned the place before asking the girl, "Miss, did you save us? Why, you don't like it? Then give me your life back." Shooting him a look, the girl scoffed. Juefan grumbled at the most rude reply. Guess he got used to always having the final say, always having the last word. Finally being on the receiving end had him stuck and irate. The only reason she wasn't a bloody smear on the carriage's walls was for saving them, thanks to the true self-art. My violent tendencies had been curbed a lot over the past 2 years. You should be lucky you met me only now, humph. Juefan forced down his anger, strained a smile and cupped his hands. Ha ha ha. I first want to thank you, miss, for all you've done. And may I ask what got you in such a bad mood? Do I owe you a fortune? Ha ha ha. What do you think? Juefan was joking but hit the last right where it hurt and made her more depressed and annoyed. Startled, Juefan was even more baffled. I've only just met her, so how could I owe her? By her extreme reaction, I must have really done something at some point. Juefan was perplexed, but the girl just rolled her eyes at him in despair. 10 million? Oh, 10 million? The two were stuck in a complete tangent from another, with neither getting the other's intentions. It was then Morong Shue's soft voice came from beyond the curtain. Jouer, act like a lady and not so stuck up. It's been 5 days and you still aren't over it? Holy, someone else is in here? Juefan jumped, now noticing the fourth presence. The sudden rousing and all that happened made him forget to scan the area. From her voice, he could tell that she was the boss lady and this girl only the servant. Humph, what a pretentious maid. Juefan lost his early amiable air, looking coldly at Jouer. I see. It's your young miss that saved the two of us, not you. Why the sour look then? You didn't do anything anyway, only using her name. Juefan saluted the curtain with all respect. Thank you, young miss, for saving the two of us in our time of need. You. Jouer was fuming mad and whined to Morong Shue. Young miss, see who you worked so hard to save. Jouer, it's you who started it. Don't blame others for your problems. Take it as a lesson and try not to do it again. Morong Shue scolded her maid and spoke coldly to Juefan. Sir's words weren't proper either. As all life is equal, I do not need any reward for saving you. I only wish for you to be upright and do no evil, making my efforts worth it. Please don't make me regret saving a demon. Ugh. Juefan let out a dry laugh. I only just put the maid in her place and she's calling me a demon. Then again, I'm certainly no saint. Haha. Jouer glared at him and turned the lecture on him. Hear that? Young miss wants you to be nice later on, or we can take back your life anytime we want to. Ha ha ha, being nice is all up to me. You have saved me but don't need to worry about it. As for taking back the life you just saved, only I decide how I go down. Juefan sneered with a glint in his eyes. I, Zi Gu Yifun, never owed anyone any favors. I'll make sure to return this grand gesture at the first chance. So thank you for all the trouble these days, but now it's time to leave. May we meet again. Juefan grabbed Gu Santong's hand and stunned the two with his actions. Jouer was stumped by the nerve of this guy, having just been saved from certain death. Then he started being all cocky-like, as if it was these two's endless glory for saving him. Morong Shui was stunned inside. Not nice at all. Eh. Zhuo Fan exclaimed, having noticed the smooth arm of Gu Santong, with not even a scar on it to show his past suffering. What's going on? Young Sanzi. Zhuo found the leverage to snap back. Young Miss, in her infinite mercy, had brought this poor child back. He is unconscious but stable. What a pity. The young one is such an innocent creature, while the elder one is so vile. Young Miss saved the wrong person. Thank you. Zhuo Fan forewent his rude attitude and thanked. I don't matter, but you've done me a great favor for saving my son. Any request you may have, I will fulfill it. No questions asked. Morong Shui shook and nodded. Sir is quite peculiar, but fond of his son. This proves your heart still has some good in it. My only reward is for you to come back on the straight and narrow. Good. Zhuo Fan's face twitched. I thought you were joking. I've been evil all my life. I have no clue what good is. How does it even work? Young Miss, he's getting off too easy. Just look how cocky he was. It'd be a shame not to ask for anything. Luckily, Zhuo stepped in to clarify it all, holding out her hand. Since you want to pay, then pay your fees. Zhuo Fan chuckled and nodded, as it is right. How much? Just a smidgen, 10 million sacred stones. Zhuo sported a vile grin. Zhuo Fan flinched. Why so expensive? What kind of pills did you use? Not like he couldn't pay, but that he was stunned. Even without the fees as an excuse, he'd still give 10 million, as it was only right. Those dead rocks meant nothing when young Sanzi's life was concerned. Zhuo misunderstood completely. Of course, thinking so many zeros scared him and laughed. You can't, can you? You penniless. I bet you don't even know what sacred stones look like. Then just give me all you have, even though it's hardly anything of worth. Zhuo, Morong Shui admonished. Zhuo Fan spoke. Miss Zhuo, I can give you that much, but I'm curious what kind of drug you use that is so valuable. If it's not the drug, then I can still pay it as favor for saving us. You think we're lying? Zhuo huffed, taking out a gourd and showing it to him. You know what's inside? Miracle drug, North Sea gel. If not, listen well. It's a valuable recovery medicine even in northern lands. We had to spend 10 million sacred stones to get this little, and used almost all on your son. Isn't it normal for you to pay at least that much? Sniffing the gourd, Zhuo Fan frowned. North Sea gel? There's no mention of it in the 9 Serenity's secret records. Is it from the mortal domain? But to save young Sanzi, it has to be miraculous. He smiled at Zhuo. Miss, since you only have a little left, give it to me for my son, and I'll give you 20 million to make up for it. Haha, 20 million? I bet you don't have spirit stones as much. That's not the issue here. Will you accept? Zhuo Fan asked. Zhuo raised her head, not believing a word. Fine then. Only a fool won't take advantage of such a damn deal. Give me your ring. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone and chuckled. Zhuo did so, and Zhuo Fan's ring touched hers. Zhuo Fan then took the gourd and his son and was off, laughing. Miss Zhuo, a deal's a deal. Bye. Wait, I still haven't checked. Zhuo cried out. Morong Shui gasped. What is it, Zhuo? Young Miss, 20 million sacred stones are inside the ring. The guy is actually loaded. Zhuo was bug-eyed, struck dumb by the glittering rocks in her ring. Chapter 951, Greatest Merchant Union. Chapter 951, Greatest Merchant Union. Proofreader, Papatonks. Goldbough City, a name that implied wealth and riches, all gathered in one place. There was some truth to the saying, money makes the world go round. Most of the central area was under the imperial family and the officials' control, with one exception. Goldbough City, the largest merchant union in the lands, Serene Shores Trading, held its main office in this very city, where even the imperial family wouldn't get involved, couldn't they? Really? Of course, it couldn't be farther than the truth. This empire held so much power that it shocked the other 4 lands, let alone a tiny trading company. It didn't matter how many ties you had across the world, or how much wealth, since with great power came greater wealth. Just how commoners didn't fight with nobles, neither did they fight with high officials. As to why a trading company controlled a city was all due to the empire's permission. Even with the Sword Star Empire standing against the 4 other areas, it still relied on trade with them to exchange resources and local products with each other. In order to facilitate these trades, a neutral party was needed. The Serene Shores Trading, in this case the Empire, gave it supreme power in linking the 5 lands, so it set up relations between all of them and played a pivotal role in any land millennia later. Through its subdued lust for power, never stepping into any land's power struggle, it had earned the trust of every faction in the lands, opening their doors for its business. It led to a boom in revenue, growing larger and larger, becoming the main trade hub between the lands. These last few hundred years in particular showed great expansion. It was all due to Bailey Jingwei coming to governance. With his brilliant mind, he urged the trading with the rest of the lands to get bigger and faster, giving the Serene Shores Trading more power by building their own teleportation array within the lands. To facilitate this, only the bold would take such a risk. The minute the 5 lands teleportation array fell in another's hands, they would lose control and could invade the Empire's heart from thousands of miles away. It also worked as a perfect retreat too, giving them an easy way to withdraw without losses. That was why out of the central area, no other land had a teleportation array in the hands of another, even a trader. Only the higher-ups of every land could activate a teleportation array to another land, so order could be maintained. This showed just how bold Bailey Jingwei was in giving so much power to a trading union. It wasn't done out of impulsiveness either, backed up by real power. The Sword Star Empire didn't fear other land spies, nor any kind of trouble they might stir here. The central area had the invincible sword, and only his defeat would crumble the central area, which was impossible since he was way stronger than anyone else. You couldn't kill him even with human wave tactics. Adding to that, the 9 Sword Kings stationed in their domain, and the central area became a connected hell. Even the best clan in Eastern lands was feeling tense, spending even one more day in this place. They were so close to getting shredded too because of such indomitable backing. Bailey Jingwei had an even easier time with politics, displaying his talent without fear or repercussions. Be that as it may, the commercial teleportation array had its restriction. First, one had to wear the Serene Shores Trading's badge, and the other was to gain Goldbough City's nominal lord's approval, Bailey Jingyu, a member of the imperial family. Lest the enemy took action while they were oblivious and taking this place for themselves. As in any system, leaks always sprouted, even with this double safety net. Maybe the people were too confident in their empire, or they just didn't care how the commercial line was used and trusting Serene Shores Trading completely, or maybe their contempt of the other lands had grown unchecked. Regardless of the reason, the second safety net, Bailey Jingyu, was so insipid and useless, he barely made for a good figurehead, always indulging himself, and not to mention he had a lousy cultivation. With the central area teeming with talent, the only reason the 3-century-old Radiant Stage Bag of Bones got this job was thanks to being part of the imperial family, i.e., he has the patriarch watching his back. It thus led to the Serene Shores Trading holding the real power in the Goldbough city. Fan did his homework on this city, and was now standing before the grand and ostentatious gates with a weary Gu Santong on his back. Gu Santong might have had his wound healed, and some time to replenish his blood would have got him back on his feet. It just didn't happen. He was still very weak, and his energy just wouldn't recover. The countless pills Fan gave him showed no effect either. It was like anything the child ate would be washed away without any result. Fan did not understand this condition, nor know how to fix it. So he stuck to the old plan. In taking him back to the 2 monsters in Western lands, they were the same type as Qilin, having been alive since antiquity, and should know what this ailment was. To make this trip as smooth as possible, Fan chose to use this 5 lands teleportation array and get young Sanzi home. At the very least, young Sanzi's life wasn't at risk on the bustling street filled with riders and carriages. A lone father blended with the crowd, looking all over the place as he went. Fan's eyes shone at some point and grinned as he fixed his gaze on a lofty courtyard. Before it were 2 soul harmony experts standing guard, totally devoted to their duties like stone-cold machines. Above them was a most dazzling, flamboyant, and utter money-wasting sign he saw, with Serene Shores Trading written in big fancy, golden letters. To use the commercial line, one first must get this clan's approval. Ha ha ha. Fan stepped lively for the entrance, but the guards barred his path. Fan felt it awfully familiar. Didn't the same happen back at the Veiled Dragon Pavilion? Ha ha, guess lapdogs can be found everywhere. The guards, however, were off script this time around. not having the least bit of scorn, even bowing. Sir, what might have brought you here? Business. What kind? Why would I tell you? I want to see your manager. Juefan demanded. These watchdogs want to use their master to intimidate me. The guards did not mind it one bit. Ha ha, sir, we're not questioning you. We're here to receive guests. But as there are all kinds of people, business can be big or small. We largely deal in big deals, which makes every visitor an important customer. I advise that sir visits our shops for small buys, only half a mile down the street. We welcome any and all cooperation, thank you. Juefan raised an eyebrow. The best merchant union sure is something else. They even train their guards to be nice. No wonder they exploded in size. He found no reason to make the situation worse, so he revealed a bottle with glittering rocks. Tell me, is this deal big or small? Sacred stones. The two gave Juefan a long look and advised. Sacred stones are under tight control throughout the lands. Not just anyone can have them. Just who are you, sir? Juefan looked elsewhere and scoffed. The two winced, knowing they made a serious blunder. Forgive me, sir. It was a slip of the tongue. Trust is crucial in any business. I heard when Serene Shores Trading makes a deal, it never asks the other party's history, thus dealing with every aspect of society. But your actions today, if the head knew of it. Forgive us, please, I forgot myself, sir. The guard bowed deeply in fear. Their training comprised of being robotic, to give short replies and not eavesdrop. Most importantly, to treat guests with utmost humility and respect. They could never go after anyone unless ordered to, but because of shock, all the wrong words came out. Looking into the guest, it was plain to see that Juefan with a child on his back looked like a house husband, not someone important enough to have sacred stones. The sacred stones were so important in the central area as well that only the really important figures had them, and they never came through here. That was why it baffled the two guards to no end. He can't be from the imperial family, can he? One word to the manager and we'll go bye-bye. What rotten luck. What was I thinking, blabbering so much to such a mystery guest? The two looked nervous and grimaced on either side of Juefan. He had no intention to whip a guard dog, not when he was so nice. But he had to show off his style, to intimidate and swing the negotiations in his favor. These were guidelines Juefan always adhered to when doing high-profile negotiations. A bark came out of nowhere. Who's making a ruckus at the Serene Shores Trading door? Chapter 952. Soul Harmony's Power. Chapter 952. Soul Harmony's Power. Proofreader. Papatonks. Second young master. With light steps, a youth in lavish clothes came along, which made the guards bow at once. Juefan chuckled to himself. They say the eldest young master of the Serene Shores Trading is able and efficient, having the clan head's favor, while the second young master is a hothead, making trouble and pissing off his elders. It can't be you, can it? Ha ha ha. Are you done spouting crap? Looking angry, the youth's face sank and released the power of a third-layer soul harmony stage cultivation as he spat. I don't care what might you are, barking at my company, but to insult me? You're dead. Bam! He never got the chance as two stalwart men shielded Juefan from any harm. The young master flipped out seeing the guards go against him. What do you think you're doing? I'm doing this for you. Teaching this punk some manners, yet you defy me? Do you want to die too? Second young master, the master commanded us to always keep the peace and never raise a hand on our guests, especially to a noble guest such as he, a possible imperial family member. We can't ever. The guards grimaced and bowed. The guy exploded in rage and cut them off. Who cares? That's only on the surface when he's utterly useless at everything else. Stop exaggerating. Isn't bloodline enough? Juefan gave a taunting smirk. Second young master's reputation precedes you. You mean you don't know that in this world, strength is second while heritage is first? Just how many people can actually reach the peak of their skills? The majority is in fact walking around with the noses up and puffed up chest thanks to riding someone's coattails. And you, second young master, are no different. You've been brought up as well, and quite good in fact. The only reason these two guards show you any kind of respect and not send you to your maker is because you're the second young master of the Serene Shores Trading. Juefan finished by looking elsewhere. further incensing the enraged second young master till he was beat red. The guards sighed, their hearts bleeding from seeing the second young master ready to pop and the indifferent Zhuo Fan of his own handiwork behind them. This guest has a sharp mouth as well. Taking deep breaths, the second young master glared at the two and declared, "So you dogs want to stop me, right? You asked for it." Second young master charged for the two. Unleashing his great power on them, the guards cried out, "Second young master, please don't force our hand." "Oh, I will, or you can say goodbye to that imperial family guy. That's what you get for blocking me." Second young master was out for blood. The two guards felt put on the spot, but soon came to a decision and met him head-on. "Second young master, stop making a scene. Harming anyone from the imperial family will lead to problems for the company. We have no choice but to stop you." Clang! The guards took hard stances and punched with great power towards the second young master, tough and sharp like swords. Such a state could only be achieved with soul harmony. Zhuo Fan nodded inside like a judge, acting like a bystander to the scene he caused. Not bad sword souls, these two. A shame they're against. Rumble. The mighty sword arts were unleashed as the two punches passed through the second young master's belly, astounding them. "Second young master, why didn't you dodge?" The second young master stood in place with an icy gaze. "Two puny sword souls think to harm me? Humph, your sword training is nowhere near enough to even pluck a hair from me. Train harder next time." That, the guards were panicking and about to retreat when they found their hands stuck in place. The second young master smirked. "I hardly ever fight with soul harmony stage experts, so you don't know. I have a once-in-millennium elemental soul, making me nigh untouchable, phantasmal, the instant my body turns to ice. You can use your sword soul to harm me if you harden them enough, but you're just too weak compared to me. Ha ha, the moment I formed my soul I surpassed most people around. My superiority in the ethereal stage only became more pronounced in the soul harmony stage. You only lost due to soul levels. Better work harder next time. Train and make up for your weakness." A crackling sound could be heard and the two guards' hands iced over, the cold spreading over their entire body and freezing them in place. The second young master dealt with them in a flash, slipping backward and letting their hands come out while his body returned to normal. Did the two guards attack at random? Not many soul harmony stage people knew what exactly happened, except for Zhuo Fan. The soul harmony combined one's soul and flesh, but it wasn't as simple as addition compared to ethereal stage. The soul harmony stage takes the cultivators to a new and improved level. To a flawless state, there were three kinds of souls. Beast souls and tool souls were the lowest rung, while the elemental souls were formed through condensing an element and becoming intangible, thus they were better. As for domain souls, they encompassed everything, the highest form where one's rules were supreme. This led to variation in strength in the ethereal stage, despite equal cultivation yet different souls. And once one reached the soul harmony stage, this gap only broadened as soul harmony of a beast or tool soul would exhibit great power, the savagery of a beast or the hardness of a tool. They were so destructive it could cause real damage even in the ethereal stage, though there were always exceptions, such as monsters like Zhuo Fan with his double soul-empowered domain that could crush even a soul harmony stage cultivator. As to why they ranked so low in the soul harmony stage, that was because when doing soul harmony with an elemental soul, the body combines with it and turns the user phantasmal. As long as the opponent's soul was weaker than yours, he could never touch you. The same happened to those two poor guards. They were on a different level despite their okayish cultivation. This was where a soul type made all the difference. As for a soul harmony domain, that was turning yourself into an area and assuming complete control. Even more outrageous though, enough yuan qi, like in Danqing Shen's case, to crack the earth and rend space. Soul type no longer mattered. While soul type was an advantage, it was not a blowout. One's true strength was what made the real difference though for average people. Soul types meant different power levels. Ignoring the stiff and frozen guards, the second young master passed them by and walked before Zhuo Fan. "No killing?" Zhuo Fan smirked, pointing at the popsicles. "They just tried to attack you. I have to say, you're quite forgiving for an arrogant master when teaching your dogs." The second young master's eyes twitched in rage. "They attacked me to save your life. Is that how you return their favor, by having me kill them?" "Return what?" I have nothing to give them. Zhuofan had a crooked grin. I came to do business and I'm your guest. Protecting me is in their job description. Besides, they most likely did it for the company's name to go untouched for longer. Speaking of, they didn't do it for me, but because the second young master started it, no? Anywho, shouldn't dogs that bite back, regardless of reasons, be put down? Ha ha ha. The fury in the second young master reached a boil as he shook all over and punched at Zhuofan. Shut up. Zhuofan grinned as the punch stopped an inch from his face. Scared that I'm from the imperial family? Zhuofan cocked an infuriating eyebrow. This shows you're not all muscle, up there, and know when to stop. Now be good and kowtow. Shit. The second young master snapped. Damn cocky bastard. I don't care who you are, but today you die. Just put the kid down. I don't strike children. Zhuofan glanced behind at young Sanzi and smiled. I see. Zhuofan nodded and stepped in the second young master's personal space, catching him off guard. Bam. A loud explosion tore at the peaceful sky, and the second young master felt pain in his gut, making him keel over and spit blood. He looked down in utter shock at the scarlet punch buried in his stomach. How? I have an elemental soul harmony. How did he touch me? No soul harmony expert. Blood dripped from his incredulous face. His legs failed him and fell down with hazy eyes. Elemental soul harmony isn't invincible, and a man carrying a child isn't always weak. Grinning, Zhuofan turned around to walk inside, leaving his laughter behind. Second young master, you're amusing. I'll remember you. Maybe we'll get to work together someday. Haha. Wait, who are you? Second young master wanted to shout, but the pain robbed him of his voice. His sight and his consciousness, a sacred beast was born with soul harmony. Then he also had the heaven dragon soul with godlike power. Zhuofan was not in the soul harmony stage, but with the heaven dragon soul and Qilin arm, he made up for it. Nothing could stop him, not elemental soul harmony, and neither domain soul harmony. Chapter 953. All business is good business. Chapter 953. All business is good business. Proofreader, Papatonks. Now past that tiny inconvenience, Zhuofan no longer gave the two icicles and the unconscious second young master any thought. Walking into the main hall of the building, the first step into the reception hall was met with an explosion of wealth, blinding the eyes from the gaudy and glittering gems and stained glass decorating it. The columns supporting the high ceiling were even more outrageous, some made from the rarest ores and gems handpicked from the South Mountains, while others came in the form of rare beasts from the North Sea. Like the flood dragon, the raw and thick vibe of wealth coming off this hall slammed into Zhuofan. As for the strange, average guy waltzing in, just having entered this place proved he meant business. An aged man stepped closer to ask with a deep bow, "Ha ha ha, sir. With what may we help you today? Let's talk business." Sensing he had a soul harmony stage cultivation, yet showing no reaction to a radiant stage cultivator like himself, Zhuofan had to reassess the Serene Shores trading just how ingrained business was to them. The old man smiled. "Right this way, sir. We have strict confidentiality rules here, and all talks are done in private rooms. Once we arrive at sir's room, a specialized receptionist will attend to you. Of course, as I'm your current receptionist, the content of our talks and their results shall only be kept between us two and my immediate superior. This is the reputation our company prides itself with. So please, rest assured, sir." Zhuofan nodded. Serene Shores trading values secrecy so much, going as far as minimizing the flow of information to prevent a leak while taking its reputation as a guarantee. This is how they manage to deal with both good and bad people, gaining the trust of all the lands. Its policy vows the company as being completely safe in business, taking no side and spying on no one. Its neutrality was thus assured, with no parties being offended, while neither receiving any special treatment either. But this business plan shows its genius by allowing them to get in touch with all factions. It is the law of nature for everyone to have something needing taken care of hidden from the eyes of all. Serene Shores Trading's neutrality allowed it to swim freely among these dealings, with no repercussions. Once into a fine and classy room, Zhuofan got into a sculpted lavish chair, One leg over the other, the old man was calmly closing the door, then made a sign to seal sounds in this room by erecting a barrier. Now the old man turned to Zhou Fan and smiled. Sir, we can now begin. They're right about Serene Shores Trading, serving any customer with utmost attention to detail. You're too kind, sir. This is our job, ha ha ha. While your people's skills are pristine, I can't help but wonder if your power is just as great, able to ease my worries. A rare praise came from Zhou Fan, one followed by a taunting eyebrow and switch of topics. The old man smiled. Sir, it's plain to see to all the 5 lands just how strong we are. Regardless of the request and its outcome, we are confident enough we can do it. If by some absurdity we can't, then no one else in the world can. Ha ha ha. The old man sounded humble, but anyone could sense the pride and confidence in his tone. In the Serene Shores Trading's power, ha ha ha, I can only hope. Zhou Fan didn't pursue it and went to business. I would like to use the company's 5-land teleportation array, your commercial line. Will this be acceptable? What? The old man winced. His strolling air changed to one of shock. You want to use our commercial line? I can't. No, that's not the issue here. But the old man was put on the spot. It's not just our company that controls it, but also the city lord. We can't use it as we wish. I'm afraid I can't complete your request. Please allow me to call my superior, sir. I'll be only gone for a moment. The old man made a gesture and the barrier was down so he could leave. Zhou Fan knew using the commercial line wasn't going to be easy, yet was content in waiting, having long ago made a plan for it. It hardly took much time for the door to open again and the same old man arrived, along with another in his 20s of the same cultivation. Chapter 954, A Bit Low. Chapter 954, A Bit Low. Proofreader, Papatonks. Wu Ran's lit up. Huge deal? Could you tell us too about it, sir? Ha ha ha, you're awfully slow for someone praised to be sharp, eldest young master. How else are we supposed to trade if I don't tell you about it? Eldest young master, aren't you being redundant? Zhou Fan toyed. Wu Ran's nodded with a smile. Indeed, sir is right and I've been rude. Before we get to it, I have something for you. Zhou Fan took out a bright crystal and a vial from his ring. Wu Ran started at the sight of them and asked, Sacred stones and 11th grade pill? Sir, is this the deal you spoke of? While they're both uncommon, there's plenty of them between men of true worth. Our company has traded in fairly large amounts of them as well. I fear that this deal... Eldest young master, you're being slow again. I just said that I have something to show you before the real deal. Zhou Fan smirked. Wu Ran's cheeks reddened, not liking being prodded again and again for over minor things. His flat business smile slipped for a second as well. Then, sir? Identity. Zhou Fan chuckled and shook his head. The company does not check its customers out of consideration, but I'm willing to go the extra mile for a more solid cooperation. I am an 11th grade alchemist. This is one of my pills, and these sacred stones are something I got from selling some of them. I am among those men in power and have the right to deal big. Ugh. Wu Ran's and the old man chuckled then bowed. Sir, revealing your identity isn't necessary. You're a valued customer the moment you stepped into our company. We sincerely... Oh, don't say that. Zhou Fan chuckled. All that enter are noble guests because your guards filter them at the door. Any that passes them are bound to be important, so there's no need for screening. That, however, was not how I got here, and I need to facilitate our big deal through increasing our mutual trust. Wait, you didn't go through? Wu Ran's was stunned and baffled. Then how did you get here? There's 2 soul harmony experts outside. Zhou Fan read his doubts on his face. I fought my way in, knocking them out. Wu Ran's flinched. That's soul harmony stage, and 2 cultivators at that. How? Also, your second young master passed by, so I knocked him out too. He should be having a nap at the door. Zhou Fan threw the last part in. Yes, I beat your baby brother. What are you gonna do about it? Zhou Fan waited for the stiff-faced Wu Ran's to react. The guy let out a long breath and bowed. Forgive me, sir. The guards must have been rude to you and deserved it. I'll be sure to look into it and deal with them. As for my brother, I ask that sir overlook his recklessness. May sir speak of the huge deal you mentioned? Your flaw is your humanity. Seeing the unfazed gaze of Wu Ran's, Fan chuckled while respect was imposed to make dealings better. It has been so enforced that morals have been thrown away. I told them I beat the guards and the eldest young master didn't care. As all men of ambition would rather lose to the enemy, and not because of having wretched clansmen. There was no harm in having some clan flunkies take the brunt as long as a huge deal was coming their way, though this would take a different aspect when his brother got involved. That he was too impersonal, Fan was cold as well, not impersonal, since ruthlessness was also a part of one's humanity. He might not like his little brother, but at the very least, it should have concerned him. As for those who cherished their brother, they'd be flipping out about now. There were many ways to keep a straight face, but none were perfect in the other extreme. Hearing your brother suffered, you might be overjoyed since you two were vying for the clan's power. Such was humanity, good and bad. Envious and passionate, Fan saw none of this in Wu Ran's. He only cared about his interest and nothing else. The worst part, he was only chasing profits and wealth out of instinct, going through life with a frozen heart. So this is Serene Shore's trading's wise and able? Haha, I'd rather not have such company. It's too hard to control. Fan's eyes flashed and he spoke. Eldest young master is so open about it. I was standing here afraid of facing you. I didn't even realize he was second young master before acting. I understand my brother the best. He must have started it and incited, sir. Hope you'll forgive us. Wu Ran's continued. Can we now talk about the huge deal? Fan nodded and revealed a gourd. Look at this. He opened it and Wu Ran's gasped. North Sea gel? The North Sea gel? The old man cried out. It's Northern Land's specialty, yet also a local rarity. Not even their faction's leaders have much of it. I heard only the sea demons of the North Sea are guarding it. It's so dangerous there that even a sword king can die. Sir, is this what you want to trade? We'll take everything you have. Money isn't a problem. The old man blurted out like a broken record, leaving the plotting Fan to be taken aback. This thing's that valuable? So that's why the wench wanted 10 million sacred stones. Is this thing valuable? I heard that it can heal any wound in an instant, even one made by the 5 lands' divine weapons. When Invincible Sword ran amok in the northern lands, the other 3 lands joined to drive him back, but many have died. It's all due to this item that the strongest survived Sundering Sword's wounds. You have such a thing and don't know this? The old man gasped. Fan grumbled a bit and said, I recently obtained it and I'm not familiar yet. Then, tell me a number. 30 million sacred stones. The old man spoke first on the spot. Fan was shocked inside. Does that mean the 20 million and the fact it was used on young Sanzi still isn't worth its value? Seeing him silent, Wu Ran's thought it was from hesitation and spoke. 50 million. 50? Fan jumped in shock. From the sheer fact Wu Ran's, a man obsessed with profits, to call out such a number without a twitch, showed it had to be way more valuable. Holy hell. What the hell is this to be so expensive? It's like sacred stones are just dull rocks to him compared to this. His silence was taken as dissatisfaction again and Wu Ran sighed. I know 50 million is very low, that even a tiny bit of North Sea gel is invaluable, with all the lands fighting for it, but the most money we can access is 50 million. I actually struck gold with this. They saved my son, and I just gave them double the asking price, to return the favor. But this was by no means calling it quits, not with its value. I simply robbed them of it. Sigh, I never owe anyone anything and now I owe tons. I have to pay it all back. Fan's face twitched and took the gourd back. Who said this is the item of trade? I was only asking. Fan stashed it away. The two were dumbstruck, red eyes fixed on that ring, their hearts burning with greed and anger. Dude, are you toying with us? Talking about some huge deal, then you take that out. Here we are sincere about buying it, so why not make the trade? Are you mocking our addiction by saying that? Or are you saying you got something better than North Sea gel? Not happening. To Fan, that was just it. He had something so huge and outrageous that it could buy the whole company. Chapter 955, Demon Spirit Stone. Chapter 955, Demon Spirit Stone. Proofreader, Papatonks. Now don't get too excited. This right here is what I'm trading. Seeing the hunger in their eyes, as if he stole the juiciest morsel right from their mouth. Shuafan gave a dry cough and revealed the main star of this deal. Some pitch-black rock. Wu Ran's weighed the odd rock in his hand, speaking in doubt, and what is this supposed to be? Never seen it before. It doesn't seem to have much use either. Our company never has things we can't use. Sir, I recommend you put the North Sea gel back on the table. I know our capital is limited and lacking, but it will soon be amended. We'll sign an IOU as well if we have to. Our credibility has been carefully groomed for thousands of years. Zhuofan's face twitched and grinned inside. He must really want that North Sea gel with a passion to turn from an eminent gentleman into a street peddler, forgoing his status and his leverage. Zhuofan, however, had no intention of handing over. He had some research in mind for it. Maybe it was exactly what young Sanzi needed to wake up eldest young master. I'm sure you know what saving the best for last means. First I took out an 11th grade pill, then the North Sea gel. But neither of them are part of the deal. Are you perhaps thinking the third item is lesser than the two? Shaking his head, Zhuofan gave a mocking smile. The item I intend to trade is no less valuable than the North Sea gel, Scout's honor. You talk a mean game, saying you actually have something better than the priceless North Sea gel? Wu Ran's gasped, then gave the plain black rock a second look. True, everything he took out was better than the last. First was an 11th grade pill, the second was the North Sea gel, and lastly this thing. Maybe this black rock is better than the North Sea gel, but we can't see it? Wu Ran's got the rock to eye level and focused on it, using all his concentration to find anything that might betray its supposedly amazing value, only to come up empty. What the hell is this thing? Wu Ran's wore a constant frown, finally turning a perplexed look to Zhuofan. Try using Yuan Qi, the same you use when cultivating. Zhuofan grinned and lightly instructed. Wu Ran's tried doing what he said and absorbed spiritual energy around the shock came in seconds. He was just giving it a casual try, yet the rock's seemingly infinite energy surged into his body. Moreover, unlike spirit stones or even sacred stones, what he got from this was Yuan Qi that blended with his. It cleansed his meridians as the energy traveled on the way to his dantian, filling it with power. In a mere blink, the black rock vanished, while his body was filled to the brim with Yuan Qi, so much so his meridians were aching. He was on the verge of advancing. Wu Ran's was dumbstruck in his seat, trying to blink away the fog. Any cultivator worth his salt knew the sacred stones and spirit stones were first emptied of spiritual energy, then had that energy turned into Yuan Qi to train. It was a time-consuming process, taking hours, days, and even years. This was where this black rock came in, cutting the time to zero by feeding the boy pure Yuan Qi. In case of a fight, this rock would make one's Yuan Qi reserves endless, giving one supreme advantage, while in terms of cultivation, it saved tons of time. Just that little pebble he absorbed translated into half a month of constant sacred stone usage. What was more, the Yuan Qi he got was the same obtained through usual practice. Through the process of taking the spiritual energy from a sacred stone or a spirit stone, most of it would be cast away, keeping only what the user needed before turning it into his own Yuan Qi. Unlike the common convention, this black rock had fully usable Yuan Qi. It would make advancing so much easier since it added an extra oomph, which made a whole difference when pushing through to the next level. Wu Ran's mind was overwhelmed from shock and fear. This small thing was a game changer. It could speed up cultivation tremendously. The old man was looking puzzled, having not felt it to believe it. Eldest young master, what's wrong? Is it any good? Not just good, but perfect. Wu Ran's eyes shone with an even hotter gaze on Zhuofan. Sir, what is this and how many do you have? Giving a devil smile, Zhuofan drawled. It is the demon spirit stone, from Serenity Vein. In the entire world, you won't find a second person to have it. As for the amount, as much as you want. Well, is it worth it? Is it a huge deal? Sir, is without a doubt amazing. This deal is beyond huge. Wu Ran's brow shook, his eyes blazing with excitement. The North Sea gel is only great at healing, but the demon spirit stone can revolutionize cultivation as we know it. It can greatly increase one's cultivation, but its greatest asset is to guarantee one's life. I now understand what Sir meant by being better than the North Sea gel, although my only wish is for Sir to keep it that way. Catching his drift, Zhuo Fan gave him a long look. Why? Planning on having a monopoly on it. Exactly. As Sir is the sole owner of this stone, with our company's deep connection throughout the lands, you'll earn the most with us acting as middlemen. Sir has only to gain from a cooperation with us. Then about my deal. Consider it done. And the city lord, a foregone conclusion. Wu Ran's waved off all of Zhuo Fan's doubts, his face solemn. All we need from Sir is constant cooperation with us. You, Sir, are our most noble customer. Everything can be resolved, our company willing to solve all of Sir's issues. Zhuo Fan nodded with a chuckle. Great, then I shall take my leave and wait for eldest young master's good news. Zhuo Fan got up to leave. Wait. Wu Ran's cried out, still smiling. Just how many does Sir have? Could Sir offer some? I still need to convince my father and the city lord. Afraid I'm bluffing? Ha ha ha, no, not at all. Just 100,000. But I must have first pick of all the goods you got from all the lands in exchange for it. Zhuo Fan seemed to struggle as he talked. Wu Ran's nodded. Sure, that settles it. Here's the highest commercial card, Sir. Wherever you may go, our company's assets will be at Sir's disposal. Only 5 such cards have been handed out, with Sir's being the 6th. 5. The leaders of every land has the right to own one since war is costly, and we'd be helping them in times of need. Wu Ran's beamed. Zhuo Fan gave him a look. So they're into war finance as well. Not that he cared, since it was all the same to him. So he held out his ring. Eldest young master, here are 100,000 demon spirit stones. I'll await the good news. Rest assured, Sir. Bam! The 2 rings clinked and the transfer finished. Wu Ran's got his rocks and Zhuo Fan got some shiny golden card. Taking his leave with Gu Santong on his back, Wu Ran's and the old man walked him out well beyond the reception. The other guests there was stunned, then gave Zhuo Fan astonishing looks. Who's he, to have even the eldest young master show him out? Out of even the reception? Eldest young master only ever walked even the most important customers to the reception, but today, eldest young master, second young master was beaten up outside the company. Someone was running towards Wu Ran's and whispered, while second young master was being carried over by some guards not sparing him a glance. Wu Ran spoke. No matter, he asked for it. Keep an eye on him from now on. Make sure he doesn't disturb the customers. He then walked back to Zhuo Fan. All smiles, Sir. I asked for a room to be ready for you. If it's not up to Sir's standards, please mention it to the tavern and the whole of Goldbough City will be at your disposal. I need to talk about our deal with my father and won't be able to accompany you for the following days. I ask Sir to be patient. Zhuo Fan nodded, finding it a waste of time to talk to a man with no soul. Who are you? You dared to ambush me? Fight me like a man. A roar resounded in the hall. Zhuo Fan paused and turned to second young master. Wu Ran's was the fastest to shout at him. Brother, stop making a scene. You're disturbing the customers. Father will deal with you. Did you forget already what happened 3 years ago? It's because I can't that I loathe these grand customers more. Second young master pointed at Zhuo Fan and screamed, Duel me if you have the guts. Wu Randong won't fall so fast the second time. Warandong. Zhuo Fan cocked an eyebrow, then grinned as he lightly stepped outside with the same old man attending to him. Wu Ran signaled the guards to take his screaming brother towards a lofty manor. Chapter 956, Duel. Chapter 956, Duel. Proofreader, Papatonks. Knock. An old man was inspecting a document over a finely carved jade table when someone knocked. He raised his aged face and asked, What is it? It's me, Father. I have something urgent that needs your attention. The old man recognized the voice and said, Oh, Rands, come in. Creak. Wu Rands lightly stepped forward, followed by 6 soul harmony guards carrying a wounded and an aggrieved second young master. The old man's eyes showed he understood the situation as he sighed. Wu Rands bowed and spoke flatly. Father, I request that brother is to be confined for half a month, lest he ruin the company's affairs. What did he do this time? The old man gave a long sigh as he returned to inspecting the document. Giving no regard to his son's spat, Wu Rands smiled, but then Wu Randong got out of the guard's hands and slammed the table as he barked, Isn't it obvious from how I look? Someone beat me up. Father, he is an important customer that will propel our company to higher heights in our trading with the lands. Ignoring the tantrum, Wuran's reported, brother had a clash with the customer, but fortunately he was not heavy-handed. Nor did he much care for this incident, still willing to trade with us. Before brother makes things any worse, I beseech father to confine brother and prevent from irritating our customer and driving the biggest deal our company has ever seen. Wu Randong whipped his head at Wu Ran's and spat, brother, you're just going to pin this on me without even hearing the whole story? Rands, is his deal that valuable? The old man ignored his youngest annoyance and asked what mattered. Wu Randong nodded, never looking away from his father. Not just valuable, but far more important than even North Sea Gel. Ka. The old man paused. His eyes shook and snapped on Wu Ran's, like the North Sea Gel? Not just that, but far, far bigger. Absurd. We've been wanting to trade in the North Sea Gel for thousands of years, yet never got the chance. Northern lands have it in short supply and have it on a tight guard. Now you come to me saying there's something way better? What is it then? The old man showed excitement for once. Wu Ran spoke. Father, it's what I've been meaning to tell you about. Take this. Wu Ran's presented a black stone. The old man frowned. Father, please cultivate a bit with it. Wu Ran's had a vague smile, just like how Zhua Fan did it to him. The old man did as told. What happened to Wu Ran's before happened with him as well. The rock was gone, and a surge of yuan qi filled him with endless power. The old man cried out as he turned to Wu Ran's in shock. W, is this thing? Demon Spirit Stone. Wu Ran's bowed, looking excited as well, retelling all that transpired, finishing with, the customer had given us 100,000 in advance, then will sign with us an indefinite contract, and all he wants is to use our commercial line. I already promised him this, and I ask that father works fast to strike a deal with the city lord, to get his approval. The old man's eyes shone as he laughed. Sure. There's no way we're going to miss the deal of the century. I'll go to the city lord right now and see what he wants in return. That old Bailey Jingyu couldn't just stick to booze and women, but had to play dumb as well, insisting that we have to talk in person. Rands, you'd be more than enough for something as simple as this. Well, not that it matters, since in 2 years, I'll withdraw from being chairman of the company and you'll be taking over. Then he'll be your problem. Ha ha ha. Wu Rands laughed along, his eyes dead. Like there was nothing exciting in becoming the top dog, since it's only obvious. He had established himself in the serene shores trading, and his father had nothing but praises for him, while the rest of the members admired him greatly. So young, yet the highest manager under his father, bringing many important deals without the help of his father, helped consolidate his value within the company. It had long gone from his father being assured of passing the mantle, becoming an obvious choice, but what about vying for power, for status? Did you expect him to see his poor excuse of a brother as a worthy match? He didn't amount to even a bucket of spit. There was nothing to be jealous of. Wait. Wu Randong butted in with a red face and bloodshot eyes. Father, brother, is money all you care about? He has humiliated the company's members, and your own flesh and blood got beaten up, yet you don't even care? What worth would any trade be, regardless of how big, if it's crooked? The old man shot him a cold look. Randong, I have told you both before that respect is paramount in our line of work. The people we deal with all come from important clans. We may have spread out throughout the lands, but we never mix money with politics, ever. The moment we cross the line will be the second we become petty and lead the company to ruin. Why else do you think I've been wasting so much time catering to that spineless Bailey Jingyu? It's all due to having Bailey in his name. Don't ever say his name around me. I hate him to death. Wu Randong spat in fury. Wu Ran shouted, brother, that's enough. We only grew to our current influence because we value respect above all else in our dealings. It's what pays for all the resources you get to use to cultivate. How else would you have reached the soul harmony stage so fast? Without power, you'd be weak and at anyone's mercy. And bowing and scraping isn't a weakness. We are weak against the top while strong against those at the bottom. But if we break our principles, the clan will be over, and no matter where we go, we'll be the weakest. You think about that. Wu Ran's huffed and said to the guards, Father and I will be going to the city lord's manor. You make sure to confine him. Above all else, Make sure he doesn't go and disturb that valued customer, or you'll have to answer for it. Father and son walked out without giving Wu Randong a glance as the guards bowed bam. They didn't even have to stand straight as the lavish room sported an extra-large hole, with the sun's warm rays falling upon them. As for Wu Randong, he was nowhere to be found, damn it. Second young master ran away. After him. They all panicked as they scrambled out of the hole in their rushed search. They failed to notice the bush just below the room, where Wu Randong stuck his head out to watch them leave. He gnashed his teeth. There won't be any deal. Not if I can help it. Wu Randong stepped cautiously in another direction, towards the biggest tavern in Goldbough City. An hour later, in a grand room, Gu Santong lay on the bed. Weak and unconscious Shuo Fan sat at his bedside, watching over him with constant sighs. He could have carried Gu Santong in his ring, but the fear of something happening to him prevented that. Instead, he chose to carry him always to sense every little change in his son. After so many days, he relaxed knowing his condition was stable. Serene shores trading. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone as he contemplated. Wu Ran's and the entire company are capable in trading, but too obsessed with profit. All merchants value gain over parting, especially this one. It's easy to be stabbed in the back even after the deal is done. As for that second young master, get out. Whoever you are, get out now and duel me. The ravings coming from outside cut his thoughts short. Zhuo Fan chuckled. We're on Dong. Speak of the devil. Ha ha ha. Chapter 957. Ice Dragon Blast. Chapter 957. Ice Dragon Blast. Proofreader. Papatonks. Whoosh. Joie Fa flashed in Wu Randong's face, eyes darting all over the place, then grinned when the coast was cleared the area before the big fight. I am the second young master of Serene Shores Trading. Anyone would flee. Wu Randong spat. There's only us now. You won't get the drop on me like last time. Zhuo Fan rose an eyebrow and smiled. I get it. You don't want bystanders hurt. Your compassion knows no bounds. But do you have the luxury to worry about others when you're going to get it? You know I beat you once, yet you're that confident you can win this time? Shut it. Regardless of outcome, you've made an enemy out of Serene Shores Trading. Now suffer for it. With a furious roar, Wu Randong stomped and charged towards Zhuo Fan. He made hand signs and an icy aura spread from him. High, profound, ranked martial art. Ice Dragon Blast. Knowing Zhuo Fan was no pushover, Wu Randong went all out from the first attack with a furious hiss. Wu Randong turned into ice-cold silver lights that spread out to take the form of 9 dragons as they smashed forward. Zhuo Fan squinted. The same skill has different power based on each user's cultivation. This skill was a profound ranked martial art, but Wu Randong was a soul harmony expert with an elemental soul, perennial ice soul. The soul and the art combined, making him become an ice dragon and boosting its power. It also helps emphasize its weaknesses. An expert that could contrain his elemental soul could make use his reckless charge and inflict serious damage. A shame. Zhuo Fan was just the type with a nasty smirk. Zhuo Fan flew straight at the dragon's boom. His previous spot was assaulted by the ice dragon's explosions, the coldness spreading out and freezing everything around the tavern before disintegrating. As for the dragons, they were still around despite the move having ended, turning towards Zhuo Fan in the air and chasing after him. Divine Eye of the Void's first stage. Shift. Zhuo Fan grinned at the 9 dragons as his right eye shone golden boom. The 9 dragons clashed in the air and unleashed their icy power, turning the area into ice before crumbling to glittering ice particles. Whoosh. Zhuo Fan then appeared elsewhere, giving the 9 dragons a mocking grin. Wu Randong was pissed more than ever, roaring and sending the dragons after Zhuo Fan again. Zhuo Fan had the Divine Eye of the Void as his ace, always keeping him out of danger while the dragons kept blasting the air with ice. Wu Randong's face twitched, incensed at his futility, but also grave. Knowing just how strong Zhuo Fan was, he simply breezed through the blast without a care, proving the gap between the two. It was so large that the other did not feel like fighting back. The weaker party would make the sensible choice and run away, but Wu Randong no longer had that option, not after looking at Zhuo Fan with such bloodshot eyes. He didn't want to beat Zhuo Fan now. At the very least, a bruise or a cut that would be enough to break their deal. Wu Randong howled again, the 9 ice dragons exploding with coldness and even freezing space. Dyeing it white, the clear sky was now covered in dark clouds, pouring down snowflakes. And with the dragon's roars, a savage storm brewed around Zhuofan. Blocking every direction, Zhuofan shook his head. Now this is his actual power. This guy is the type to harass until he's beaten into the ground. I was kind enough to show him reality, but it just didn't reach him. Oh well. Hee. Zhuofan grinned, pulling his sleeve with a giddy look and an evil smile. It's brother. In another side of town, Wu Ran's was talking business in a brightly lit castle. Seeing the disturbance outside and the snowstorm, he shouted, "Damn that fool. He's making it hard for me again." Their father frowned and cursed. What are those servants doing? Did they let him run free and cause chaos? If they ruin my biggest deal, they're finished. Wu Randong knew his father and brother had to be talking about him, or more like cursing, but he didn't care, still doing his thing and trying to score some kind of hit. With another draconic roar, the 9 dragons' power reached its peak, spreading in the air and on the ground. The dragons then flicked their tails, targeting Zhuofan. Only this time way faster than before. The dragons as well, no longer charged like a stampede, but coming from all directions to seal Zhuofan's escape. Though Zhuofan just stood there, with only his right hand releasing a scarlet light, shimmering the air around it from his raw power. Divine Eye of the Void's 4th stage, Space Crusher. Even as the 9 dragons were close to reach him, Zhuofan wouldn't budge, sporting a creepy grin as his right eye shone in 4 golden halos hum. 1,000 meters around, Zhuofan shimmered strongly, wearing down even the air itself as explosions sounded off. As for the 9 dragons, 8 howled from being fakes, crumbling into glittering ice. The last one remained, though, growling and forced itself forward as it shook under the attack. In the end, it swished its tail and was forced to fall back. Ha ha ha. It clearly points out the real body. Zhuofan's eyes flashed and flew for the ice dragon, catching up to it in seconds and giving it a mean punch. Of the 9 dragons, 8 were of Yuan Qi, and only the last one was due to soul harmony, allowing you to withstand the crumbling of space. Second young master, your attack has no effect on me. Bam! The dragon howled and spat blood again and again, having suffered such a heavy blow, sent into the ground and leaving a 100-meter-wide crater. Once the dust cleared, what was left was an ashen youth, with blood at the mouth. Zhuofan drifted over and chuckling, "Well, wanna continue? Humph, guess you win this time. But don't get too smug. Serene Shores Trading won't let this matter stand. You're dead for sure." Wu Randong spat through gritted teeth and walked away. Zhuofan's casual tone reached him. "You really don't want your company to make such a big deal with me?" Wu Randong winced, but covered it well, showing a mocking smile to Zhuofan. "There won't be any deal. You hurt me, so don't think my father will just work with you. You should be worried about coming out alive, rather than an impossible deal." "Is that so? Here I think your brother is much more keen on trading than your situation." "Oh, wait. He never cares about you at all, only making deals." Zhuofan mocked. Wu Randong's face shook. "My brother is my brother, and dad is dad. It's still father who has the final say." Seeing their attitude, you'll know I'm right. Just from your brother's status in the company and his style, I can tell your father's as well. Zhuofan shook his head. "If your father loved you at all, your brother would have shown something for you, hatred or caring. But he has nothing. This goes to show, second young master must have a tough time within your house." "Shut up," Wu Randong screamed, pointing at Zhuofan. "Who do you think you are to tarnish our company's name? Let me tell you, your deal is through. So get lost now." Zhuofan chuckled. "What did I say? You're clearly aiming for a broken deal. Are you showing your true colors at last?" "Ugh." Wu Randong's lip trembled, lost for words. Who is this guy? Always seeing through my intent and attacks. Chapter 958. Better Not Regret It. Chapter 958. Better Not Regret It. Proofreader. Papatonks. Are you looking to mess up the deal? Wu Randong stood dumbly under Zhuofan's scrutiny. Feel like sharing why? Given enough reason, I may be inclined to let this deal fall through like you want. What? Wu Randong gave Zhuofan an incredulous look. Aren't you after the commercial line? If the deal is off, how are you going to use it? You don't have to worry about that. That's the kind of guy I am. Casual. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan's eyes shone, using his guile to sway him. Second young master, I'm more than sure of your position in the company. You're an eyesore to your own family, unable to do even the most menial tasks, just like a dead weight. Why you? Before you deny, know that I'm right. Zhuofan continued, you can't strike deals, you can't break them, you're weak, and you can't change my mind. The trade between me and your father and brother won't be influenced by you. And if you had it in you, you'd have gotten them to break it off already instead of looking to take it out on me. In other words, I'm the only person that can help you. And all I want is to hear your story. Or is it that there isn't one? With second young master wanting to make a scene out of anger? Are you that much of a child? Of course your dad won't care about you. Wu Rondong's lips shook, staring at Zhuofan, and finally sighing, fine. You wanted my reasons, here they are. I hate the company. I don't want it to grow any bigger, I want to destroy it. Why? You're the second young master, and only have to gain from its development. Zhuofan found a nice chunk of rock to sit on and look at his furious face. I'd get it if it came from the guards, being annoyed by their boss and having a hard time. Yet a successor like you, instead of vying with Wu Rans for the lead, you want to run the family business into the ground, with everyone losing. I gotta say, you're a true prodigal son to want to destroy your family. Or is it envy from seeing your brother taking the power? Spite makes more sense in this case. Some people would rather destroy what they can't have. I've seen plenty of those to last a lifetime. You're the spiteful one. I'm a man of virtue, and it won't matter even if I have no real power. How could I just lust for power? Why then? They're all dead inside. Wu Randong squinted and gnashed his teeth. You went into the company, and you've seen bowing and scraping, right? Zhuofan paused and nodded. It's not all bad, bowing too. That's what you think. Wu Randong glared and roared. Serene Shores Trading are always respectful to all clients. That's how it's spread throughout the lands. It used to be my pride as well, thinking being kind is what makes you strike big deals, respecting the other party to achieve your goal. But then I found that this nice attitude has made us weak. Not fighting back or never talking against any dissent aside, they still have a smile on their faces even after the other took a life. This is a disgrace. A business is a negotiation. You respect me and I respect you. But if you don't, why the hell should I respect you? We've grown big enough already and don't need to scrape for deals like beginners. Naive. Zhuofan chuckled in disdain. That's why your dad gives you the cold shoulder, since you'll get into trouble at some point. Because of your virtue, you don't compromise, clueless that you're still in the palm of the strong. One wrong move and your family is finished. Wu Randong cried out. You're also saying that? Of course, since business and politics never match. Zhuofan waved his hand, his eyes shining. Second young master. Was the other party someone important to end up with a fatality? Wu Randong nodded heavily. 3 years ago, because the friend I grew up with found out Bailey Jingyu took his sister. He barged into his manor to save her, yet they both died. I wanted to take some men and turn his home upside down, but brother told on me to father and had me confined home for 10 years, afraid that I'll offend that bastard. I realized then that our company has grown weak. The company used to mock Bailey Jingyu's incompetence, with Goldbough City's entire power belonging to us. But that's when I knew that we were mocking ourselves. A useless fool is able to kill the guard of the merchant company that trades in all the lands without so much as a slap on the wrist. What will happen when a true city lord comes along? The bright and strong company on the surface is shaking from within. Haha, maybe not. Zhuofan chuckled. The Serene Shores Trading only came along as a tool to connect the 5 lands by the 5 leaderships. But if a tool goes bad, you change it. You can't get too confident in yourself. While your father and brother are indeed a bit too cautious. Regarding that incident 3 years ago, it didn't matter if it was anyone else, but since it was Bailey Jingwei that came to power, he knows what matters are crucial and where to draw the line. Did you think it'd change anything if you ruined his manor? You're a tool that still needs using and Bailey Jingwei won't throw it away. While on the contrary, if you had handed the boy personally to Bailey Jingyu, then praise him of his qualities, showing your stance and being suave, the Prime Minister might be even willing to pay back in kind. The Bailey clan has plenty of people and can do away with a deadweight. Ha! Wu Randong gave him a long look and his face grew solemn. Right? We could have asked Bailey Jingwei for help, but thinking they're all Bailey, maybe they'd cast out one of their own. Since their relationship is strained, all things hang in the balance. Being headstrong tips it. Zhuofan had a vague smile as he muttered, Serene Shores Trading's pursuit for money made it lack in many areas, making it weak despite its tough front. As for the second young master, he's too rash and impulsive. It's only a matter of time before he invites disaster. However, with me in control, there'll be no problems. Also, unlike his other kin, Wu Randong is passionate and far easier to mold for my use. He'll make a good lackey. What did you say? Wu Randong was stunned at his prattling. Zhuofan gave his most evil smile. Second young master, I know why you hate the company. Deep love breeds deeper hatred. You hate its weakness, being unable to protect yours and losing your dignity as merchants. It's one thing when you're powerless and a whole nother when you're not. The humiliation is unbearable, right? Wu Randong sighed and nodded. Great, I got the picture. Now let me ask you this. How will you handle the company if you were to lead it? Will you be a loose cannon like before? Me? Wu Randong flinched, shaking his head. No way. Dad decided 3 years ago that brother will be following him. How? Zhuofan smirked. Nothing's absolute. I'm just asking if you'll be the same if you'd be leading. Wu Randong's heart shook. He never stopped to think of things like that, because he knew how he was, too reckless. Unlike his able brother, you hate how weak the company became. But aren't you even weaker? Zhuofan bewitched him. Real strength comes from supreme power. If you want to change the company, you must first wield it. I'm here to make it happen, but you don't want to. Whatever happens to your company you don't like, you'll have no one to blame but yourself. You don't want to be strong, so stop showing dislike for the cowardly company. All of you are the same. Wu Randong shuddered and grimaced. Then his eyes shone with conviction. Whenever did I say I won't take it? If Dad gives me the power, I will make the company be born anew. That's the right attitude. The strong don't whine, but think of how to step on the weak. Even if they aren't weak, you'll make them feel weak. Furthermore, the strong don't make excuses for their failures because of others' faults. Zhuofan gave a creepy chuckle. Better not regret it later, second young master. Regret? Wu Randong had a really bad feeling looking at his strange smile. All that he could tell was that he had struck a deal with the devil. Chapter 959. Believe it. Chapter 959. Believe it. Proofreader. Papatonks. Whoosh. Wu Randong felt tense seeing the evil smirk on Zhuofan's face, just as a dozen people landed in front of them, with his brother and father in the lead looking at the ruins around. The two were furious and slapped his face red. Bastard son. How much trouble do you need to give the company before it's enough? Guard. Take second young master and never let him out of your vicinity or out of his room. I'll be holding you responsible for him. Wu Rands was just as pissed, his eyes icy as he spat. The guards nodded and grabbed Wu Randong. Second young master. Don't make the eldest young master and the master any angrier. Just come with us. Ignoring them and even his father's slap, Wu Randong kept staring at Zhuofan. More puzzled than ever, Zhuofan returned a beaming smile. Sir, 1,000 apologies. I've failed as a father and had my son disturb you. Please forgive me. Ignoring his worthless son, the old man bowed before Zhuofan. He was not just at peak soul harmony stage, but also the head of the company. Yet here he was, bowing and being humble. It only worked to prove just how important the deal was for them. I hope my foolish son's recklessness did not affect our deal. Zhuofan chuckled. Of course not. Me and your second young master were only sparring. It wasn't done out of recklessness. May I be presumptuous and assume that Senior is the head of the Serene Shores Trading? Yes, he is the clan head and the Serene Shores Trading's chairman, Wu Jiangtao. Wu Ran smiled and made the introduction, not forgetting to apologize as well. Brother has crossed the line earlier, and I'm most grateful for Sir's patience in forgetting his transgression. I represent the company when I say thank you, and I apologize. Wu Jiangtao bobbed his head. Yes, Sir's endless patience is an outstanding quality of a great man. Our Serene Shores Trading is most honored to work with you, sir. The two of them kept being overly nice and humble to their client, all to ease his anger and not botch the deal of the century. Fan chuckled knowingly and nodded without a single trace of anger. The father and son let out a long breath. Sir. Wu Jiangtao hesitated before getting straight to the point. My company wouldn't look into Sir's credentials, a practice my company has followed since it was founded, and Sir can trust us to use everything in our power to seal the deal. However, what, Chairman Wu? You can just say it. Having gone over to the city lord to get his approval, we had no choice but to report on the items being sent and forced to hand over Sir's items. He got so excited that Wu Jiangtao was hesitating, putting on a heavy grimace. He wants to meet with Sir and discuss. Fan's brow shook. He wants to talk with me? Of course, as Sir entrusts us with all the process, Sir wouldn't want to have to deal with such pesky people. If there's anything not to your liking, you can leave it to our company to proceed, although I'm afraid that it will take some time. Please be patient. Wu Jiangtao and Wu Ran's bowed, looking ashamed. Fan's eyes flashed, not minding it at all. It's fine. There's no trouble. I'll just have to go through with visiting the city lord. Since I received his invitation, I'll be honored to go with you to meet with him. Ha! That's great. We will take you there, sir. I'm afraid the city lord isn't like us and will demand some information. Please forgive us, sir. If at any time his questions are invasive, Sir can leave it to us. You're so thoughtful, thank you. Fan smiled. The father and son were humbled. It's only right. Fan followed the two to a grand castle, taking 1 hour to get there. There were guards on each side standing at attention to welcome them. They were expecting them, not even sending someone to report their arrival, only showing them in with a bow, before an impressive door. Knock. Who is it? Lord, it's Wu Jiangtao, and we have brought the Sir along. Ha ha ha! Goldbough City's true man in charge laughed, and was quite humble, as if this nominal city lord was the actual ruler of the city. A bright laughter welcomed them. Ha ha ha! Great! Please come in, mogul. The door opened for the trio, and they entered with shock. The decoration in this place had them astounded, or maybe impressed. The tons of jewelry and wealth notwithstanding, what drew the eyes were the many glittering plates dangling from the ceiling, feasting their eyes with their fragrance. On the floor, there were many channels crisscrossing around until they gathered up ahead to a huge pond. Soothing their minds with the smell of wine. In the middle of that pond was a ball of blubber, his lower body covered with silk, leaving his round and huge reflective belly out in the open. 2 girls hung on his arms, being quite promiscuous in their gestures. So this thing was Bailey Jingyu, the city lord of Goldbough City? Well, he's rotten enough to look the part and even stay at Radiant Stage for so many centuries. And he was of the imperial family, having the patriarch's blessings and a stream of endless pills and spirit stones that should have placed him on the finish line from the start. Radiant Stage could be overlooked, but that protruding belly he cultivated all these years made him a first-class idiot. He must have used all those pills and money to get his fat to focus on his huge gut. Humph! One look at that hideous swell, and you'd know it was built on people's suffering. Fan cared not about stuff like that. He only wanted to know when this fat man would let him use the commercial line. So this is debauchery in the truest sense. Lord must really enjoy himself. Ha ha ha! Fan chuckled, looking around. The ball of fat lit up and gave a thumbs up. Sir, is amazing to notice how I'm recreating the wine pond and lavish food plates of the ancients. We're the same. Ha ha ha. Screw you. Even a blind guy could see where all this food and wine comes from. And what kind of ancients have you been following after? The dumbest kind. Fan's face twitched. This moron is rotten to the core, and the worst part, he takes pride in it. Letting Bailey Jingwei stay in Goldbough City was giving tons of power over to Serene Shores Trading. Sir, I always ask every guest that comes here what they think of the decor. None of them answer, only you. I can tell you're a man of culture. Bosom buddies, ha. Ugh, gag me with a spoon. Bailey Jingyu stood, and the silk on his lower body slipped and drifted with the wine, and the girls at his side got a cape to drape on him. It was such an outrageous view that it even got the humbled Wu Jiangtao to turn his head with a red face. Fan was utterly speechless. Dude, this is just common courtesy, and yet you're rolling in it without shame. I've seen my fair share of degenerates, but you're the very first to take so much pride in it. You're a real eye-opener. Though Fan was not about to be so blunt, simply chuckling and nodding. I must say, me and City Lord are kindred spirits, friends in the same field. It must be fate that had us meet. I like what you're saying, sir. In all my years, no one has ever touched me with their words like you do. Sit, sir, please. Bailey Jingyu's eyes lit up in joy and pointed at an ostentatious chair at the side. The father and son looked at each other and sighed. Bailey Jingyu is such a degenerate he believes anything he says. Chapter 960, Ganging Up. Chapter 960, Ganging Up. Proofreader, Papatonks. Zhuofan and the Wu father and son pair sat down, with Bailey Jingyu also taking the main seat, in all his indecency, with just a white silk across his bulging midsection. As for the two girls, they kept serving him regardless. Sir, since we're bosom buddies, I hope you won't mind while I talk with you like this. Not like I'll change even if you do. This is how I've always been in Goldbough City. A man of my word and headstrong, ha ha ha. Lord, never ever change. I love your character. Zhuofan waved his hand, showing his admiration. The Goldbough City is your domain, and no one can stop City Lord from doing what he loves. Make sure to kick out anyone who disapproves of it. Let the world see who's the man in charge, who is the true City Lord. Bailey Jingyu's eyes lit up, then stood and walked to Zhuofan. He reached out his blubbery hand and shook Zhuofan's hard. Brother, friend, why couldn't I have met you earlier? Everyone says that I should act my station and be more of a City Lord, but only you understand my pain. I wish we could have met ages ago. The feeling is mutual. Zhuofan smiled, taking his hands out of those trotters with a touched expression that got Bailey Jingyu even more overjoyed. This was what it meant to go on an endless search, only to just look around to find what you needed. Anyone would be thrilled about meeting a friend that knew you best. The Wu father and son's faces fell, their minds frantic. They worked so hard to get the capricious tub of lard to fall in line. Yet this kid showed up with a few words and had him at his whim. Bailey Jingyu has no sense of self. He's only being overly nice since he'll be leaving anyway. He wants nothing to do with you, unlike us who are stuck with you. He doesn't care, but we do. You just let yourself go and enjoy his praises. Anyway, that's something we can never stomach. I hate him. Wu Jiangtao cut off the two's touching friendship and smiled. City Lord, sir wishes to speak with you about the commercial line. Would it be possible to go easier? Oh well. Bailey Jingyu's face changed, taking back his fat hands and sitting in his chair with a frown. It's a problem, all right. Chairman Wu, the commercial line is only used to transport goods, a channel approved by the other 4 states. But as it is on the Empire's domain, it's under tight jurisdiction. It's not something to be used on a whim. A serious inspection will have to take place each time it's activated, along with thorough examination. I may be the City Lord of Goldbough City and wield great power, but I have great responsibilities as well. I can't just approve of it out of the blue. Who will be held accountable of any mishaps? Wu Jiangtao frowned and nodded. We know Lord's pain, but Sir is our most important client. Please, City Lord, help us out and be a little flexible? What flexible? Bailey Jingyu huffed. Do you know who's behind him? Do you know anything about why he wants to use the commercial line? No, you don't. So how can I be flexible? Every use of the commercial line must be put on record. Wu Jiangtao looked at Zhuofan and lowered his head. Zhuofan looked at the 3 of them with an impassive face. Is the fatso that stubborn? He's been dealing with Serene Shores trading for years, yet never gives them any leeway? 2 bosses can't ever reach a consensus? Then there's this old Wu's attitude. He's acting like he's doing me a favor, but actually telling the fatso what to do. Are they ganging up on me? Is that it? Zhuofan squinted, putting his plan in motion. Lord, as bosom buddies, I hope to enjoy Lord's power for one tiny matter. But I guess City Lord is tied down by his duty, your power being so different from any other City Lord and can't do everything. I'm sorry for my rudeness, but I'll have no choice but to travel all the way to the imperial capital and use talk with the other lords. Zhuofan stood up, walking and muttering. The City Lord holds no power here, and the city would be better off without one. What a pain in the ass. Who said that? The ball of fat rumbled in anger. My word is law here. If you want to do anything, I vow to make it happen. Truly? Yes. Bailey Jingyu nodded heavily. Zhua Fan spoke with a smirk. I want to use the commercial line. Not a problem. Old Wu, get it ready for him. Bailey Jingyu declared ahe him. Wu Jiangtao had to interject again with a red face, trying to get him to cool off. But the Lord was blinded by anger. Old man, enough with the coughing. Just go home and fix it. Anyway, it'll take 3 days to get the commercial line ready. Then you can use it. I'm the Lord here, and what I say is law. Thank you so much, O great city lord. Zhua Fan cupped his hands and left. He only got to the door when the fatty shouted, Wait, come back. What is it, city lord? What thanks are you talking about? Bailey Jingyu felt his dignity insulted, put on the spot, and made promises while forgetting to ask for demands. Only now he recalled that he was getting nothing for it, so he was downright blunt about getting a bribe beaming. Zhua Fan held out his ring and the fatty raised his and knocked with it. Zhua Fan wiggled his eyebrows. City lord, recognize this? It's amazing. 800,000 demon spirit stones? Bailey Jingyu showed a wide smile and nodded. Sir is a true friend indeed. Next time you drop by Goldbough City, don't forget to pay your friend a visit. Of course, city lord. I'll never forget you. Ha ha ha. Zhua Fan left with a smile. Bam. The door slammed shut, and Zhua Fan's face was ice cold. Damn you, Serene Shores Trading. You dare gang up on me? Too bad the moment I saw the fatso, I kicked you from being the middleman. But next time we meet, all your company will be in my pocket, humph. Zhua Fan's eyes flashed and smirked. After he left, Wu Jiangtao turned to the pleased fatty. Lord, this isn't anything like we agreed upon. How so? Didn't I get him to fork some more goodies? Bailey Jingyu fondled his ring and showed a depraved smile. Wu Jiangtao's beard shook. We still know nothing about him. How are we going to hold talks with him? How are we going to negotiate? Isn't that your company's rule, to not look into your clients? This is different. You know very well how important these are. Wu Jiangtao gnashed his teeth. It's beyond even the North Sea gel. With a monopoly on it, nothing can shake our position in the Five Lands, and all the profits will be ours. All the powers will scramble to buy from us, and we'll have control over the Five Lands market. And you will reap immensely from it. You dare give something so serious to other lands? If Prime Minister gets word of this, Bailey Jingyu gave him a cold look. Wu Jiangtao spoke. Lord, we're both clear of your integrity, or lack thereof. Since when did you care about the Sword Star Empire? Ha ha, yeah, I never did since it won't collapse. Anything good or bad to it won't mean anything to me. All I care about is endless wealth. Giving the ring a sloppy kiss, Bailey Jingyu grinned. The demon spirit stones in here are way more than you got. With these, I can use them on the other nobles of the imperial capital and take it up a notch. He, narrow-minded fool. Wu Jiangtao gnashed his teeth. If we had used this chance to know more about him, we'd have a way to keep in touch, making our supply endless. But now, if he leaves for good, he will be back? How do you know? Think about it. Such a big deal is only done with your Serene Shores Trading. And also, with how agreeable I was, he'll be sure to return. Bailey Jingyu's eyes flashed. Wu Jiangtao's face twitched and his face fell. This guy's confidence is through the roof, eating up every praise the guy gave. Though he's right about one thing. Only their company got to make such a huge deal. He had nowhere else to go to with this. The father and son eased their worries. Chapter 961, Popular. Chapter 961, Popular. Proofreader, Papatonks. After thinking it over, Wu Jiangtao and Wu Ranz exchanged a glance and sighed in regret. They planned on bringing Zhua Fan to the city lord, so they could flank him on both sides and gain his trust to lead to a better cooperation. But this guy broke it off completely. Bailey Jingyu was so moronic and useless that a bit of praising got to his head and got him to accept anything on the spot. Anyone that had met with Bailey Jingyu had some, if not complete, disgust for this city lord over his degeneracy. To keep such revulsion hidden and simper in such a smooth way was an amazing talent in and of itself. Wu Jiangtao took a deep breath and addressed Bailey Jingyu, City Lord. The talk now didn't even earn us his identity. What are we supposed to put on record? Just put whatever. Haven't we always been doing this? Bailey Jingyu mocked. Don't think for a second that I don't know what you're doing. Only a couple of the transfers are genuinely reported every day while the rest are fakes. Humph. Wu Jiangtao nodded. Yeah, it's hard to keep them all in the open. It's easy to see it. Wu Jiangtao sighed and left with his son, however. Bailey Jingyu's drawn-out voice came again. Old Wu, do you have any good stuff around? Mind sending some my way? Wu Jiangtao jerked, knowing where he was going with this, and turned to the two girls. Lord, don't you already have them? I've been upping my cultivation regime and need many more cultivation cauldrons. Wu Jiangtao sighed. City Lord, it would have been so much better if that was so, and you wouldn't have stayed at just the Radiant stage. Why lie when you're clearly out to have fun with them? Yeah, I got bored of them and want new toys. No longer bothering to cover up his vices, Bailey Jingyu spoke the truth. But then he changed topics. Also, I don't want someone from your clan. I don't want to get burned. Wu Jiangtao chuckled. Lord, what's that supposed to mean? You know well enough. Bailey Jingwu scoffed. I didn't used to see what you guys were up to or how things are done. But working together these past 2 years, even a fool would know. 3 years ago, you sent that girl over so your son would make a scene and then threatened me to break it off with Bailey Jingwei. Don't think I don't know what you've been doing these 2 years. Be thankful I'm still keeping the peace. All I ever care about is going on as I am, enjoying the carefree life of a city lord, so don't ever try to play me. Wu Jiangtao nodded. All right, it's not any trick anyway. I only did that because you were getting out of hand and needed to be reined in. Wealth and politics don't match, the golden rule of our company. As long as you stick to your business, we'll stick to ours. Get some rest, city lord. I shall take my leave. Furthermore, I let you meet our client as you were as a show of strength. Next time, remember to have some decency. You're the city lord of Goldbough City, so act like it. Wu Jiangtao left with his son. It's my business how I am, not yours, you old coot. Bailey Jingyu roared behind them, then put on a cocky expression as he returned to his wine bath. What's so wrong about how I am? Didn't someone appreciate me just now? Humph, that sir has good eyes at least. A man of culture. Meanwhile, Wu Ran sported a dark face as he exited the castle. Father, I can't believe that fool actually figured it out. We can't have brother know about this, about sacrificing the brother and sister like that. He'll blow things out of proportions. I know that, but I never expected this to remain hidden forever. Wu Jiangtao turned cold. To control the 250th city lord, I had to take appropriate measures. The only reason I bother trying to keep it hidden from Randong is due to his temper. Anyway, watch your brother and don't let him get close to that dumb city lord. Also, where's the client? We have to stick around as much as possible over the next 3 days and gain this big fish's trust. Wu Ran's nodded with determination. Don't worry, father. I'll make it so he will be sure to cooperate with us indefinitely. Wu Jiangtao nodded, showing his confidence in his eldest son. Over the next 3 days, Wu Ran's was hard at work as the best host out there to Zhuo Fan. His favoritism didn't stop at showing him the best attractions in town, but also giving no small amount of pills and ores as gifts, all for the sake of give and take. Zhuo Fan struck many more deals with Wu Ran's and had given him hundreds of thousands of demonic spirit stones. The joy on Wu Ran's was obvious, taking it as a sign of future wonderful cooperation. Thus, Wu Ran's threw himself completely into the task of looking after his most important client, while not forgetting to start selling his prized goods to the outsider. At a premium, of course, and to the high society of the empire. Money made the world go round. Bailey Jingyu saw the Serene Shores trading acting like the best host, and since he finally found a true friend who knew him best at long last, he started giving the same honor as well, showing Zhuo Fan the city and its impressive sights with the city lord and the company's eldest young master tending to someone in full daylight. They began catching many eyes and curiosity as to Zhuo Fan's identity. Of course, they learned nothing, as not even the two hosts knew any more after so much research into anything that might give them the smallest idea as to who this mystery client was towards a tight-lipped man such as Zhuo Fan. Any other city lord would instantly grow suspicious and try to get to the bottom of this. Not this lord, though, a hedonist who only cared about himself and had no right to even be a city lord to begin with, was content to let matters rest. As for the Serene Shores trading, they only had money in their eyes. Like so, Zhou Fan stayed in Goldbough City these 3 days without anyone finding anything about him. Now the commercial line was ready for his personal use. All formalities were handled by the city lord. Money sure paved the way in this case, just as he was taking young Sanzi to go through into Western lands. A shocking news stirred the entire Sword Star Empire. It led to Zhou Fan, the vile demon, finally leaving his mark on the peaceful rich town of Goldbough. One of disaster Prime Minister, Goldbough City's Lord, Bailey Jingyu has sent a gift. May your future be limitless and live forever. In the Prime Minister's house in the imperial capital, Bailey Jingwei just entered his home with Shangguan Feiyun and Danqing Shen. When a servant bowed and presented a black stone, Bailey Jingwei frowned. You mean that idiot Bailey Jingyu sent this? Take it back. I'm going to see the patriarch and have no time for gifts. Heir. The man hesitated. Bailey Jingyu had warned again and again to give this gift to the Prime Minister and pave the way to his career. But now the Prime Minister wouldn't even hear it. Danqing Shen chuckled and advised, Prime Minister Bailey, why must you deny his kind intentions? Ha ha ha. Dragon-cleaving Sword King. This guy is as useless as it gets from a human being. An annoying fly who clings to his miserable existence. His gift has strings attached, and I'm not about to gamble with the safety of the Empire over some moron. Bailey Jingwei spoke coldly. Shangguan Feiyun muttered, he's the lord of Goldbough City, where Serene Shores trading is. Why then did you place him there if you disdain him so much? For the exact same reason as you mentioned. Bailey Jingwei smiled. Since coming to office, I've promoted trade heavily. By leaving any competent lord behind, then Serene Shores trading wouldn't have grown to this size. Since this dead weight was laying around, might as well use him for something. On one hand, he's there as deterrence, to show that we still care about that place and not let the merchants go overboard. And two, he won't cause any trouble to them. I bet that these past years, that old Wu must have gotten him to play along. Anyway, he's there to keep things in balance, and I don't expect him to do anything worthy of note. Ha ha ha, Prime Minister is so shrewd, using everyone to the bone. Not even a dead weight escapes you. Shangguan Feiyun's sarcastic laugh came, then turned to the black stone with a curious gaze. What could this thing be? I've never seen it before. With a vague smile, the servant bowed, Prime Minister and Sword Kings. This is a new item sold by the Serene Shores Trading. That's all the rave right now. In just 3 days, the imperial capital's high class have been fighting over it. City Lord had sent to all the princes and generals without any refusing him. Prime Minister, who only came back to imperial capital, isn't yet aware of this. Just what is it to make it so popular? Shangguan Feiyun held it out of curiosity. Chapter 962, Disaster Struck. Chapter 962, Disaster Struck. Proofreader, Papatonks. The servant was glad Sword King Feiyun showed any interest, bowing at once. Sword King. This is called a demon spirit stone, very rare. Unlike spirit stones and sacred stones, it's made of yuan qi that can be absorbed completely without having to transform it like spiritual energy. Great amount of yuan qi is at your fingertips, no longer suffering exhaustion while cultivating. Its benefit is even more apparent at the cusp of advancing, pushing you forth without any impediment. My lord has advanced once more after a pause of 20 years. The high class of imperial capital has also experienced swift growth and improvement. They have only words of praise for this demon spirit stone. That good? Shangguan Feiyun's brow shook, looking from the black rock to Bailey Jingwei. Prime Minister, since it's so great, give it a try. Maybe in a few years you might reach the Genesis stage and become seasoned in politics and in power. Ha ha ha. Bailey Jingwei rolled his eyes. Sword King Feiyun, since this rock caught your fancy, why don't you try it? Maybe it will soon take you to Patriarch's level, if not higher, beyond the entire world. Shangguan Feiyun chuckled. White a shake of his head. He flicked his hand and the stone got thrown back to the servant with disdain. The servant was stunned. He'd been running around the imperial capital's high-class district for days now, and everyone was excited by such an item, even fighting for it. Even those clueless of its use changed tunes the minute they heard his explanation. So why are these three so disparaging of it? Have they seen too much that they already knew of the demon spirit stone? That can't be it. It's obvious from their reaction that it's their first time seeing it. That got the servant even more confused, sighing inside. This is the difference between true men and those in the secular world. They show no desire, even in the face of such a prized item. Truly, men of worth. Go tell Bailey Jingyu not to send any more of these to the imperial capital. Serene Shore's trading never lacked such items. I don't care where they end up, so long as it's not in the central area, or they'll have to answer to me. Then Bailey Jingwei's tone changed as he shouted, also, I didn't put him there so he could use the official military line for his convenience and send gifts all over the place. The next time I find he's using it for something trivial like this, I'll send him packing. The servant was dumbstruck. What is this? Is it wrong of the city lord to use the official line to supply the imperial capital with such important goods? Moreover, even if the Grand Prime Minister doesn't like the gift, he shouldn't just banish it from the central area. This is something that can make many experts fly through the layers. It's nothing but good for the empire. My lord can see it, and so can Serene Shore's trading. It makes no sense for the Prime Minister and two Sword Kings not to understand this simple truth and shun such a great item. How peculiar, just what are they thinking? Danqing Shan came to enlighten him. Kid, cultivation means going against natural order, a road fraught with suffering and pain. Only through willpower can you cross it and reap the rewards. That little bauble you brought in makes it too easy. Anything too good is against the world, against the essence of cultivation. That's why Prime Minister had the foresight to forbid it from becoming mainstream in the empire. We've been training for years and years, learning one crucial fact: haste makes waste. Shangguan Feiyun said, after taking many pills to advance, time's needed to stabilize the new power before one can continue cultivating, or mistakes will be made that affect your future. This thing might be taken by those rash and impatient youths, but to the 9 Sword Kings and some peak Genesis old farts, it's frowned upon. Cultivation in the end is based on you and you alone. That is the only way to reach the top, and not through boosts. Using this thing will make things way too easy, making true experts a rarity. It's only going to destroy many people's lives in the end. Prime Minister's farsightedness is a true rarity. It's amazing how beside we, old guys, knowing its detriment, Prime Minister as well could see it at a glance. Ha ha ha. Eyes flashing, Bailey Jingwei sneered. I am no Sword King, obsessed with cultivation, but I can still see this truth. Everything is built on hard work and not by taking the easy way out. Easy come, easy go. The easier it is to make experts using this thing, the faster we're going to lose them. Everything is in balance. The more you're willing to give, the more you'll have to gain from it. Nothing can change this. Sometimes you're greedy, but most times you need to rein it in, especially against something that moves your very soul. The bigger the greed, the harder the fall. Prime Minister is so wise. I am in awe. Danqing Shan nodded with a smile. The servant was frozen in place. What should have been something that drove people crazy, these men in power saw it as nothing but a disaster. Men of real power see things through different eyes than the rest of us. So the guy looked at the rock in his hand with a new light. His early greed of wanting to skim some for himself was now gone, free of desire and no longer influenced by it. Yes, the world is in balance. The cultivators using the demon spirit stones might go fast, but they'll never reach the top. Taking one step at a time assures me endless potential. They only see what's in front of them, while I keep my eyes towards the future. The guy gave 3 deep bows, looking grateful. Thank you so much, Prime Minister and Sword Kings, for the advice. I'll never forget it. I shall take these demon spirit stones back and give Prime Minister's word to my lord. Bailey Jingwei nodded and dismissed him. Prime Minister. Something happened in the Jing Manor. A sudden shout followed by hasty footsteps was heard as an honored Genesis stage expert ran to bow before the trio in fear. Bailey Jingwei asked, "What is it? What happened in Jing Manor?" Prime Minister. Yu Manor is in trouble. Please come see. Prime Minister. Prime Minister. Master Lu is in trouble. Prime Minister. General Qi has collapsed from heavy wounds. Report. 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 Shouts were prevalent for a long time as more and more people hurried over to report their own house's serious problems. They were all nervous and all from important people, Close to 30 houses. Bailey Jingwei had a dark look as he knew things were bad. We'll first check on Jing Manor. Yes. The group of guards nodded and followed. Danqing Shan and Shangguan Feiyun were idle right now, so they went as well. Bailey Jingwei and his entourage arrived at a lavish manor, with a dazzling plaque hanging at the front gate. Jing Manor. Bailey Jingwei's face darkened as he rushed inside to see Prince Jing's crying concubines in the main hall. Laying down was a husk of what looked like a human, completely black. On a much careful look, it was like a rock, reflecting the sun's rays off him, yet all the women were around this strange rock and crying their hearts out, "Where's Prince Jing?" Bailey Jingwei looked around and demanded, wiping her tears. A woman looked at him through tears and gave a shaky bow as she pointed at the black humanoid rock. "Prime Minister, you're finally here. There's Prince Jing." "What?" Bailey Jingwei gasped. "He's Prince Jing? How did he end up like this?" With quivering lips, the woman cried even harder. "We don't know. Prince Jing has been in seclusion for the last 2 days, and today came out overjoyed, having finally reached the Genesis stage after being stuck at peak soul harmony stage for so long. But then he began convulsing, letting out a black energy as he turned stiff and ultimately taking this rocky appearance as he died." Chapter 963, March on Goldbough City. Chapter 963, March on Goldbough City. Proofreader, Papatonks. Bailey Jingwei's brow shot up as thoughts raced through his mind. How did this happen? Prince Jing's death is just too odd. Danqing Shan and Shangguan Feiyun were listening in silence with baffling looks as well. In all their years of doing and seeing killings, there had never been one as weird as this one. This situation was downright bizarre. So much so none could come up with any logical explanation. The servant bearing gifts slipped over, and so the black corpse then looked down at the demon spirit stone in hand with a deep frown. "That's strange. Why is it the same as the demon spirit stone?" "What did you say?" Bailey Jingwei's sharp ears picked his muttering and shot his piercing gaze at him as he demanded, flinching in fright. The servant stammered, "Prime Minister. I mean, the body of Prince Jing is similar to the demon spirit stone City Lord has asked me to gift." "Give it here." Bailey Jingwei's eyes shone and yanked the stone out of his hand. He went by the corpse's side and compared. It's identical. Prince Jing has turned into a demon spirit stone. SSS. Everyone around him gasped in shock. How does one even turn into something like that? This is absurd. Bailey Jingwei's brow shook. His fists clenched as he pondered. He turned his hard gaze on the women. Prince Jing has been stuck at peak soul harmony stage for 3,000 years. How did he advance? Did he use something like this rock? Yes, it was something similar. The women looked at each other before finally nodding. He only had 120 years left of his lifespan. If Prince Jing couldn't advance in the next century, he would pass away. That's why he's been working hard on cultivating the past decades. It was around 3 days ago that someone had given him something to advance, but I never imagined that. The women burst out crying again. Bailey Jingwei had heard all he needed. Setting his fierce eyes on the servant, "Tell me, have you been here 3 days ago to give Prince Jing such a stone?" Yes. The servant then exclaimed and hesitated. Per City Lord's request, all high class in the imperial capital have been given some. Bailey Jingwei's face was hard as ice, his eyes stony. Then, all those manors from which the guards came to my house to report, have you been to those places as well? That does seem to be it. Then how many more have you gone to? 2/3. Bailey Jingwei gnashed his teeth as he roared, "Guard, take this guy and go to every house that hasn't come to report. Take every one of those demon spirit stones and destroy them. The rest of you, come with me to the other manors." "Yes, sir." The guards bowed and split in 2 groups, one to collect the black rocks, the other to investigate the reports with Bailey Jingwei. Prince Yu, Master Lu, everyone actually that had been reported were turned into the same kind of weird black rocks as Prince Jing. All of them had been frantic in cultivating with the demon spirit stones these past 3 days. The answer couldn't be more obvious. Shangguan Feiyun mocked every single petrified corpse. "Morons, this is what greed gets you. What's worse is, you're all officials of the empire yet so gullible to believe in this fantasy. Greed is the root of all evil. You haven't even reached the end of your days, yet have destroyed yourself over it. Ha ha ha. Yeah, these are all important officials of the empire, some in the court while others in the military. With dozens of empty seats now, it'll be hard to find able replacements. Danqing Shan's cold eyes watched everyone. This is bound to reap the lives of a third of the empire's officials. Prime Minister, you're about to be a whole lot busier soon, with no one else to delegate work. Shangguan Feiyun eyed him, and both of them cracked up, not like they gave a damn about these poor gullible souls. Good riddance. They asked for it. The Prime Minister was the one who got the short end of the stick. With no one left to help him out, he was going to have many sleepless nights soon. He'd hardly have the energy to go visit any other Sword King. Danqing Shan enjoyed his misfortune. Now those piercing eyes would no longer be on them. It was getting restless, having Bailey Jingwei behind them every step of the way. Only the Prime Minister was about to blow a gasket. A third of the imperial capital's high class just died. It was bound to affect the empire's stance. The longer this gross lack of manpower remained, the worse the decline. This was a matter of utmost importance that had to have a guilty party. As for who, that was left to who did it. Bailey Jingwei squinted and spat through gnashed teeth. Guards, assemble the entire Imperial Guard and open the official line. We're marching on Goldbough City. Humph, Bailey Jingyu. You waste of a man. You wanted to bribe? Is that it? I hope you're happy. Your bribes have brought me down on you like the king of hell to put you in your place. The two Sword Kings were laughing it up in the background. Meanwhile, back to the City of Gold, the clueless City Lord and Serene Shores Trading were relishing in their sudden immense success, sir. Unlike the official line, the commercial line needs time to be set up. From the central area's hinterlands, there are thousands upon thousands of miles before we reach western lands. The amount of sacred stones needed is sizable. Now, after 3 days of work, the array is ready for Sir to use. Please forgive us for the delay. Behind Serene Shores Trading's main manor, sacred stones were glittering like stars in their specific position. A quick look will easily tell there were millions upon millions. In the center of it, there were also flashes of lightning and strong gales as a pitch-black tunnel warped the space. Eldest young master wore the same fake smile as always, standing before the portal and bowing to Zhuofan. Around him were many Genesis stage elders, over 100, here to send Zhuofan off. This went to show just how important this client was to Serene Shores Trading. Zhuofan nodded and placed Gu Santong on his back with a smile. Please, you've been looking after me these days, and I can't thank you enough. Moreover, this parting won't be forever. We'll be working together for years to come. I will have to trouble you then again. Truly? That's great. My company welcomes you with open arms. Ha ha ha. Wu Ran's laughed and bowed while still clueless as before pertaining to who Zhuofan was. He was happy knowing their dealings wouldn't end soon. They didn't really care about his identity anyway, and since he was tight-lipped about it, they had to drop it. They were content with just being his partner in all the deals and gaining so much from them. Merchants were inseparable from profits. They only had eyes on money and more money. Friendship was never part of the package, nor was one's identity a necessity. Sir, how will we keep in touch? I'll contact you. Zhuofan gave a vague smile as he changed topics. How come I don't see the city lord around? These days he has been quite close to this fellow brother. Wu Ran showed his disdain as he whispered, Sir, City Lord only thinks with his lower head and betrays anyone for money. It's best if you don't have high hopes for him. Just as Sir's about to leave, the prettiest flower of southern lands arrived in our city, immortal healer Morong Shui. He of course was happy to welcome her. To show off his power, he also had Father go along. That's the only reason Father would not be seeing Sir off. Southern lands, immortal healer Morong Shui? Zhuofan got curious. I remember now, she's the sister of Morong Lai, the ardent sun sword god, the best in southern lands. She sure has a lot of guts to waltz into the central area with how tense the two lands' relations are. Wu Ran's nodded, sir. The people of the central area cherish their reputation. We aren't about to use the best in southern lands' sister to threaten them into submission. Moreover, Prime Minister Bailey Jingwei is an expert in mind games. He had succeeded in pursuing Danqing Shan and Shangguan Feiyun to defect to the central area, the once best in western lands and eastern lands respectively. He would never lower himself to touch his sister. That would cut off any means of peace talks. This makes the central area the safest place for Morong Shui. No one will be attacking her, not when they're actually protecting her. Sure, there are those lusting after her as well. Chapter 964, Poison Swan. Chapter 964, Poison Swan. Proofreader, Papatonks. Zhuo Fan chuckled with a resigned shake of his head. Eldest young master is taking a stab at City Lord Bailey Jingyu? But anyone would want to aim above their status, because everyone wants to have swan meat every day, only to realize in the end they had grown overconfident in their skills. Eldest young master, haven't you wished of being a toad as well? Ha ha ha, please don't joke, sir. My toadai attempt ended in failure. She is the princess of southern lands, and there's no way she'd look at someone from a mere merchant clan. Actually, business is like courting. The process showing results when each side has similar values, while the talks would fail if the balance is tipped. From then on, I not once tried to engage in such businesses. Wu Ran showed a self-deprecating smile. Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted. So you went after Morong Shui with the intent for business. I can see why you failed. But the defeat that time doesn't seem to have taught you a lesson. Your toad impulses are still there. Just that if by some chance you get to taste that lovely swan meat, wouldn't you suffer in the end by finding out it's poisoned? What? Wu Ran's was stunned. Zhuo Fan grinned. You'll know soon enough. In any case, thank you so much. I'll eagerly await our next cooperation. You're most welcome. It's my company's honor to have such dealings with a valued guest such as yourself. I hope the next time we collaborate, we'll become closer. We sure will, although I can't say for sure if we'll meet again. Ha ha ha, with a weird grin. Zhuo Fan gave him a long look and carried young Sanzi as he went for the commercial line. Eldest young master, till next time, haha, I hope we'll see each other next time, though it might prove difficult. Whoosh! The pitch-black portal swallowed him as he gave one last vague smile to Wu Ran's, leaving him standing there in doubt. What did he mean by that? A frantic elder ran before him. Eldest young master, Miss Morong Shui's carriage is about to arrive. I know your proposal failed last time, but business was still possible. Our branch in the southern lands needs the Morong name to work. I know that. Now that the business with one valued client has been concluded, it's time for the next. Wu Ran sighed and the whole group flew towards the city gate. There was a huge crowd at the gates, with Bailey Jingyu looking prim and proper in the lead and Serene Shore's trading chairman Wu Jingtao standing beside him, neither arrogant nor servile rumble. Loud noise grew bigger and bigger as a carriage drawn by 3 third-level spiritual beasts rushed towards the city at breakneck speed. Zhuo Fan would have definitely flinched at such a view, since it was the same carriage that saved his son Ahehim. Bailey Jingyu coughed as the carriage slowed down. He put on a beaming smile, eager to welcome the new guests with the others close behind Ho. With a pull on the reins, the carriage slowed to a halt and a 17-year-old girl jumped out looking at the sea of people. Zhuer chuckled and looked back. Young miss, by the looks of it, you've got another pursuer here. Just some commoners. Zhuer, go right in. Can't. The people are blocking the road. Unless you want to trample them. Zhuer shook her head. Bailey Jingyu rushed over, simpering at Zhuer, then saying, Welcome, welcome, immortal healer Morong. I am Bailey Jingyu, the lord of this humble city. I've heard so much about you, that when I learned of your passing through here, I grew so excited that I could barely sleep in hoping to meet you. Now that we finally get to talk, would it be possible to allow me a glimpse of your fair face, my lady? Obscene. Immoral. Swine. Such were the colorful thoughts of the people around him, knowing he was hitting on her for his own greed. Though none had the stomach to voice it, while this guy here didn't give a hoot about the city's state, he was its lord and had some kind of dignity that shouldn't be called into question so easily. Then again, was Morong Shui a nobody? Would she just take his words? Of course. Is Serene Shore's trading chairman, Sir Wu, here? Ignoring him completely, a melodic voice came from within the carriage. The lecture instantly got hot and bothered the minute that soothing voice pierced his ears. Wu Jingtao stepped forward and cupped his hands with dignity. Miss still remembers me? I am most honored. How may I be of help? I'll do all I can for Miss Shui. It's nothing much, just that I want to hurry back to northern lands. being travel-worn and wishing to use your company's commercial line. Would it be possible? Of course, no problem at all. I wholeheartedly approve of Miss' request. The one to speak was not Wu Jingtao, but Bailey Jingyu, striking the perfect image of a local thug. If this old man can't lend you the commercial line, I will have the official line at your disposal instead. It should be far more convenient. Jouer's face twitched when she heard the city lord's outrageous attitude of an upstart. How the hell did he even become a city lord to begin with? He's nothing but a thug. With his type in every city, there's no point of the Four Lands Alliance, not when the Sword Star Empire would eat itself from the inside. Wu Jingtao gave him a look. This fool is like a whiny child that wants attention, so I'll give it to him. Since City Lord said so, I of course allow it. It shall be at Miss' disposal when she wants it. Ha ha ha. Giving Wu Jingtao a look, Bailey Jingyu nodded in excitement. The old coot knows when to play along. Then thank you, Sir Wu and City Lord. Murong Shui had to pause there for a second. Bailey Jingyu beamed like a sun at noon. It's nothing at all. Whoosh. Just then, several people flew down before the carriage. Wu Ran signaled his father that Zhua Fan left and bowed to the carriage. Miss Murong, it's been a while. I welcome you to Goldbough City. Young Master Wu, hello. Have you been well lately? Thank you, miss, for your thoughts. Wu Ran showed his signature dead smile. The voice from the carriage came after a long, pregnant pause. Young Master Wu is still the same. I hope your company will grow even bigger in the southern lands. Thank you, miss, for your thoughts. Wu Ran smiled. Murong Shui shook her head. The eldest young Master Wu still only cares about money. It's the only thing he sees. He has no emotion whatsoever, just like before. Murong Shui felt disappointed, having felt something for him last time. But after finding out his character, disappointment hit. After all these years, this man had not shown a single change, not 1 ounce of growth, becoming such a letdown to her. Bailey Jingyu saw Wu Ran's being all friendly with her and felt envy. He butted in, of course. Miss Murong, you've come such a long way to Goldbough City. Allow me to present you with a gift. It won't be necessary. Thank you, City Lord. Murong Shui shot him down flat. Bailey Jingyu didn't know when to quit, pushing it. Miss, you must accept my gift. As the City Lord, I vow to not disappoint, miss. You all know who my young miss is, right? You think just anything will catch her fancy? Jouer mocked. Bailey Jingyu gave a dumb degenerate giggle, opening a box to reveal a black rock. Miss, this is a very rare item that in your lifetime you'd never experience such. His words got cut off as a black mist was coming out of his pores from his frozen body. Bam. He was then having violent seizures, collapsing and thrashing on the ground with foam at the mouth as black smoke oozed out of his body. In mere moments, his entire body turned pitch black and hardened. It was as if he was becoming the same black rock he was trying to gift, the same rock that had now rolled next to his stiff body. Everyone cried out in panic, with Ware shouting, Miss, He. Whoosh. A figure in white suddenly appeared, coming out of the carriage and standing before Bailey Jingyu. Chapter 965, Haunting Soul. Chapter 965, Haunting Soul. Proofreader, Papatonks. Skin white as snow, soft brows like a dancing willow, cheeks rosy like a fresh peach, delicate like a blade of grass, and eyes clearer than the purest spring were the only ways such beauty could be described. Yet it still failed to do her justice. Murong Shui had come out in the open, stunning every single person with her visage. She lives up to her name as the best beauty in southern lands. The ever-writhing Bailey Jingyu forgot all about his pain as he looked at this angel that had graced him with her presence. With a gunny look, Murong Shui kept a frosty expression, checking his pulse and sending warm and fuzzy yuan qi in his body. She was better off not knowing, the discovery ending up being the shock of her life as she winced. Just what on earth is this? Young Miss, how is he? Jouer rushed over, watching as Bailey Jingyu was hardening under her very eyes and taking a dark color. Murong Shui was grave, shaking her head. I don't know. His body is baffling. Something black is eating him from the inside. Even my own yuan qi. I don't know what that thing is, but it has to be brutal. Everyone else nodded while scared. They looked at her and wondered how Murong Shui was going to save him. This young miss wasn't just a way too pretty face. also known as an immortal healer, and for good reason. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Jouer shrieked, getting everyone's attention. The ever-blackening Bailey Jingyu's eyes drunk in Morong Shue's every lovely and intoxicating feature as he strained with all his being to touch her perfect hand. It was like his life depended on it. His lust was plain for all to see. Miss Morong, you truly are perfection. Everyone's faces twitched in unison. A leopard doesn't change its spots after all, especially a deviant like him. Death is just around the corner yet. He still has the time to flirt with girls. Morong Shue grew icy, clenching her fists and gnashing her teeth. The only thing stopping her from lashing out and leaving a deep print on his face was his already wretched state. She had seen her fair share of womanizers who only cared about flirting, but in regards to Bailey Jingyu, she needn't bother with putting him in his place as his outstretched hand for her delectable soft skin stiffened in place. Though the desire in his eyes was never quenched, his body just wouldn't follow along with his wants even as his last vestige of life flew away from him. Swallowed by the darkness within, he had become a black rock in the flesh. Just like that demon spirit stone nearby, everyone was stunned by such a development. How could a healthy man, by all accounts, just turn into a rock without rhyme nor reason? Moreover, his death was so queer that had everyone around feel a chill down their spine. Miss Morong, W. just happened? Wu Jiangtao bowed to her and asked. Morong Shue shook her head with doubt. I don't know either. In all my years as healer, I've seen my fair share of odd illnesses, but never one as strange as this. It has similarities with poison, from such a violent reaction, but it really isn't. It's more similar to a demonic cultivator's curse or demonic parasite, but even that isn't entirely true. I just can't explain it. Whoosh. Hundreds of men suddenly showed up from the heart of the city in an unending stream. The man in front elicited endless gasps of shock from the crowd around. Prime Minister, what has brought Sir all the way to Goldbough City? Where is that rotten bastard, Bailey Jingyu? I've used the official line to go thousands of miles all the way over here, only to hear he's out welcoming guests. Humph. Now where is he? I have a score to settle with him. Bailey Jingwei was livid, disregarding anyone around him. As if on cue, all eyes fell on the weirdly shaped black rock on the ground. Bailey Jingwei followed their gaze and knew immediately what happened as he jeered. This useless bastard got what he deserved, to die the same way. You got lucky you got off so easily, or I would have made sure you'd leave squealing. Prime Minister, can I assume from your words that you know what's happening? Oblivious of the crime Serene Shore's trading had committed, in Bailey Jingwei's eyes, Wu Jiangtao had the poor inspiration of putting himself up for a lashing as he bowed and scraped. We just witnessed the city lord die out of the blue. Can it be that something is going on? Bailey Jingwei cocked an eyebrow and mocked. Old Wu, you dare show yourself to me? Your company actually have no idea why he died? Prime Minister, what do you mean? Wu Jiangtao jerked in fright. He felt like the usual Bailey Jingwei who cherished talent and was nice to them was no longer around. He looked royally pissed, and it was their fault. They, however, were oblivious as to what wrong they might have committed to earn Bailey Jingwei's ire to such a degree as to make him lose his temper. Looking at his dumb look, Bailey Jingwei knew he was talking to a wall, so he sneered, Old Wu, you don't know what fine work Serene Shore's trading has done? I came here to ask you where those demon spirit stones came from. You better have a good explanation. Demon spirit stones? Wu Jiangtao and Wu Ran shuddered, then gasped, Prime Minister. Why, you mean that the demon spirit stone? Humph. Bailey Jingwei flicked his wrist and huffed. I don't know from where you unearthed those rocks, but you went as far as working with that degenerate Bailey Jingyu to spread it to the officials in the imperial capital. You know how that turned out? In just 3 days, a third of princes and generals that used your special rock have turned black and stiff. They died without even knowing why. The death of the Empire's foundation shook the entire nation. Who do you think is to blame for such a tragedy? Just where the hell did you get it from? Everyone from the Serene Shore's trading gasped. Then they looked at the demon spirit stone on the ground with dread. This tiny little thing ruined close to half of the Empire's officials. This is a disaster. The Wu clan was done for. Serene Shore's trading had been in the business for thousands of years, only to be cut down in one day. Wu Jiangtao was ashen and shook like a leaf. He staggered and blood spilled from his mouth, looking to be taken by despair. Prime Minister, our company has sold the demon spirit stone, but it wasn't us who made it. It came from a client. We don't know either how. Wu Ran's rushed to bow and plead. Feeling unease as well, Bailey Jingwei mocked. A client? Who? Tell me his name, his background, his credentials, everything. Well, Wu Ran's face fell. Prime Minister, you know our business model as well. We never ask our clients anything unless they wish to share it willingly. All we know about him is that he wanted to go to Western lands and just use the commercial line while taking an unconscious kid with him. What a child. The rage Bailey Jingwei had so far turned into complete disbelief. What kind of child? How old? How did both of them look? Wu Ran's bowed at once and replied, Prime Minister, the child looked to be an 8-year-old, quite adorable. Only he seemed to have suffered heavy wounds, always unconscious. As for the sir, he was thin, but very shrewd and good at negotiations. No matter how hard I tried, not once did I manage to get any info out of him. Impossible. He didn't die? How is this? Bailey Jingwei shuddered and said in disbelief, he should have been pulverized from dragon-cleaving Sword King, so how is he still among us? Young miss, doesn't that sound like that Gu Yifan we just saved? Zhu'er, quiet. This isn't our problem. Zhu'er couldn't help herself from whispering to Morong Shui when she heard them talking, but the miss warned her. Bailey Jingwei's ears, however, were just too sharp and gasped, You met them? He's called Gu Yifan? When? 3 days ago we rescued a child and a man from snow. The older one called himself Gu Yifan. Seeing Bailey Jingwei staring hard, Morong Shui spoke of their encounter. Bailey Jingwei grimaced, his eyes shocked to the core. Gu Yifan, you're like a haunting soul. Chapter 966, Clan Ruination. Chapter 966, Clan Ruination. Proofreader, Papatonks. What? Prime Minister knows him? Wu Ran's only now saw Bailey Jingwei so baffled and cried out. Bailey Jingwei squinted and gnashed his teeth. Not only no, but he even humiliated me. I thought I got rid of him for good, but now everything's clear. Gu Yifan, this was just another one of your twisted schemes to destroy the Sword Star Empire. Well, the joke's on you. As long as I'm around, you'll never succeed. Humph. So what if a third of officials are dead? I just need a bit of time, and everything will be patched up. So what if you stole the soaring sword? The Patriarch is out of seclusion and the 9 Sword Kings have gathered. The sword will soon be returned. A puny and lone radiant stage punk has nothing on me, Gu Yifan. Everyone heard Bailey Jingwei's declaration and now knew the truth. He not only knows him, but they're mortal enemies. But who could be able to get their brilliant prime minister so crazed over one guy? He must be something to fight Bailey Jingwei on equal footing. Morong Shui gasped, Young miss, who knew the ones we saved would turn up to be so important? He even has the renowned Bailey Jingwei worried. Not just worried, but threatened. Morong Shui sighed. Brother once said Bailey Jingwei is the unsung Sword King, just as good. But to see him so furious over one person and losing himself over it, one can see that Gu Yifan is more than he seems. Zhu'er giggled. Does that mean we saved the right guy 3 days ago? The enemy of our enemy is our friend. Saving Bailey Jingwei's mortal enemy will make this wise prime minister lose his focus and will make our grand plan of making the 4-land alliance fruitful. Once we get back, remember to mention it to clan head and get something for it. Hi. You think it's some feat? If I had to do it again, I would have never saved him. Morong Shui lamented. Zhu'er flinched. Young miss, don't you always say that saving a life is better than any honor? Why? Yes, every life is precious, but saving a demon will plunge the world into chaos. Morong Shui sighed and glanced at Bailey Jingyu's black corpse with pain. He's so malicious and enigmatic. Who knows how many other cruel things he might do? And all of this is my fault. I can only hope evil hasn't consumed him, that he will return to the right path and do good with his life. Glancing at Morong Shui then at the black corpse, Zhu'er fussed. But that's our enemy lying dead there. No matter who it is, all life is precious. None deserves such a cruel ending. It's against all I stand for. No matter what, evil is evil and demonic is demonic. It doesn't matter where he stands, he will never be on our side. Murong Shui shook her head, reaffirming her staunch belief she held within herself. Jouer nodded. Oh, got it. The next time we see him, I'll get rid of this demon for you. Young miss? Murong Shui chuckled and shook her head. Just from how serious Bailey Jingwei is treating this radiant stage cultivator, you can see how problematic he is. Yet a girl thinks she can best him? Save yourself the humiliation by keeping your bragging to yourself. Prime Minister Bailey, since you know who he is, I ask that you seize him at once. My company, spread throughout the lands, will do everything to help. Seeing the deep loathing in Bailey Jingwei, Wu Ran's bowed and declared Bailey Jingwei was not about to let this disaster they caused slide with just that. Bailey Jingwei wore a cruel smile and said, Eldest young Master Wu, I'm an official, not a merchant, so don't try to haggle with me. Help me? Just how much power do you think your Serene Shores trading has in the world? Don't you fear those leading still? Also, I couldn't get him in the central area, yet you think you can do it in any other area? And speaking of, why the hell would I trust the same person that helped him escape using the commercial line? Prime Minister, you have to believe me. My company will. Enough, Rands. Wu Jiangtao shouted at him to stop his desperate attempt at getting out of it scot-free. Wu Jiangtao's eyes shone and spoke through gnashed teeth. Rands, don't waste your breath. Prime Minister spoke clearly. He's an official and not a merchant. He doesn't bargain, but goes as after settling this matter. With Gu Yifun's whereabouts unknown and the empire losing close to half of its high class, shaking the world, someone must take the blame. I believe Prime Minister wants our company and Bailey Jingyu to be the fall guys. Ha ha ha, old Wu, you haven't lost your touch to see the obvious. Bailey Jingwei slowly clapped. I don't care how involved you are in this, whether intentional or not, but since you're in this from the start and it has turned out to be quite the mess, you're liable to pay the price. It's the only way I can present His Majesty and Patriarch with an explanation. This is my accomplishment as a politician, always finding the perfect answer while ignoring the right and wrong. Wu Jiangtao's face shook and took a deep breath. Then, Prime Minister Bailey, how big do you think it has become? Can my life bear it? Don't you think one meager life for half of the Empire's officials is a little thin? Bailey Jingwei fixed his cold stare on the old man. Old Wu, the Empire thanks you for all the work you have done these millennia in connecting the five lands. Too bad this grave matter made Serene Shores trading no longer needed in the central area. Wu Jiangtao shuddered at the heavy news. Closing his eyes, the other merchants glared at Bailey Jingwei with clenched fists. Behind Bailey Jingwei, all those Genesis experts released their mighty aura. Filled with bloodthirst, Wu Ran started begging for mercy. Prime Minister Bailey, we can talk about this. Rands. Wu Jiangtao's shout echoed, giving his intelligent son a warm smile. Rands, I always told you business and politics don't mix. But I never finished it. Wealth can only get you so far, that one's use has an end, and that everyone's expendable. Business grows with the high class and falls with it. Prime Minister has taken such a clear-cut stance with us because he believes we have outlived our usefulness. In other words, Prime Minister's plan to dominate the five lands has begun. Our company, connecting them, is no longer deemed important. Bailey Jingwei showed a vile smirk. Old Wu, I never knew you had such foresight for a businessman. Yes, with Patriarch coming out of seclusion and the 9 Sword Kings gathering, fighting the other 4 lands won't be an issue. Once the world is under one banner, there won't be any need for middlemen. While this matter had been the fuse, it was only a matter of time before Serene Shores trading would be cut off. Prime Minister Bailey, you're a fearsome politician. Everyone says that merchant can't part with their wealth, but politicians? Shameless and unscrupulous, never deserving of any friendship. Wu Jiangtao smiled and sighed. However, Prime Minister, I don't think it'll be that easy for you to remove my company. Ha ha ha. Rands, I always say your brother is impulsive, but now it's my turn to be so. Guards, our company will fight them to the death. Even if we all die, we'll take them down with us. Yes, sir. The men bowed and unleashed their power as they charged. Bailey Jingwei had a cold smirk as he flicked his hand, letting the Genesis guards behind him attack. I knew you were a tough nut to crack, old man. Why do you think I got the Imperial Guard to come? Ha ha ha. Bang. Aya. The sky rumbled under the loud explosions and shouts as the experts from both sides drew blood from each other, all for the purpose of killing the other Serene Shores. Trading had plenty of strong guards, but could they match the Imperial Guard? Casualties soon mounted to a high degree as howls echoed Wu Ran's panicked, "Father, we won't last much longer. Let's retreat." And where should we run to? There's no place to go. Wu Jiangtao sighed and shook his head in despair. Chapter 967, Lone Survivor. Chapter 967, Lone Survivor. Proofreader, Papatonks. I twitching. Wu Rans looked at his father. What is the point of fighting Bailey Jingwei to the death? We're only dying sooner. Father, this isn't like you. Yes, not me at all, but like your brother. Wu Jiangtao smiled. Despite lashing out and cursing your brother, I never hated him for who he is. I even felt reluctant to change him. Wu Ran shook and looked at his father in shock with a casual chuckle. Wu Jiangtao sighed. All of us have been impulsive in our youths, but after seeing too much along the years, we smoothened our rough edges and turned to guile. The world matured me to be able to stand, and I changed you, so there would be no problems appearing. But I like how your brother always tries to mess things up. He reminds me of myself back in the day. Since our new way is unable to keep us alive, let us be true to our natures, that reckless youth. This way we get to buy Randong some time. Buy time. We're businessmen to the bone, and Bailey Jingwei will never let us go. Unlike us, Randong might survive given his rash temper, since Bailey Jingwei might ignore someone like him. Taking a deep breath, then exhaling, Wu Jiangtao closed his eyes. I always dreamed in my youth of having two sons, one outstanding to take on my business, and one ferocious that is to be ignored. For the harsh day that spelled doomed for the clan, and he would be alive to carry it on. Bugs are good at staying alive, not because he's tough, but because no one's looking at him. Let Randong have a fulfilling life in our stead. This is what his father and brother should do for him. It's not like we can run away from this anyway. Wu Rans felt a shock pass through him and sighed in the end. Yeah, I never did anything for him. Now, at least, I can help him survive. I hope he'll live past today. Wu Jiangtao gave a deep nod at this moment. Father and son no longer worked for money, their eyes turning warm. Despite watching the corpses and blood soaking the ground of their clansmen, it was because they had no fear and felt calmer than ever, having found a reason to fight. Murong Shui sighed. Why are people so oblivious? Why do they only value life when it's about to slip away from them? In the Serene Shores Trading Manor's basement, one lonely man sat on a chair surrounded by many barriers with hazy eyes. That's strange. Just what did he mean? Wu Randong was still contemplating. Bam! The huge sound roused him from his thoughts, seeing an old man smashing into the room. All bloody, Wu Randong gasped. Elder Yu. What? Second young master, don't ask and just run. The elder made a sign and the barriers opened. He grabbed his hand and ran. Wu Randong was becoming anxious. Elder Yu, what on earth is happening? Second young master, Bailey Jingwei has come with his men to destroy us. The Wu clan is being killed off as we speak. How could it have come to this? It's all that demon spirit stone's fault. I fear the chairman and eldest young master are now. The elder's voice trailed with dejection. Wu Randong was overwhelmed. His heart consumed by the devil's words. Better not regret it later. It's him who ruined us. Wu Randong's gaze narrowed and stiffened, carried on only by Elder Yu as he fled. Bam! The wall broke just then as the two reached the outside. But what they saw was hell. Wails of agony and streaks of blood tore the sky as thousands of people were in bitter struggle with one another. Lives were reaped at every second. Slumping in the blood of this hellscape, Wu Randong stood frozen in place. Elder Yu shouted at him to wake up and pointed at the commercial line still activated since they opened it for Zhuofan. Second young master, use the teleportation array and leave. I'll cut it off once you're through. Elder Yu, I won't go. I can't abandon father and brother, or you. I can't go on alone. Second young master, this is no time to be stubborn. I'll clear a path for you. Elder Yu gnashed his teeth and grabbed Wu Randong while flying for the teleportation array. He met two Genesis stage experts midway, risking his own life to force them back, but also suffering greatly for it regardless of his own life. He took Wu Randong to the teleportation array and made this sign special to the Wu clan. With a hum and thunderclaps, the center of the array sported a black portal with a hazy image inside. Elder Yu shoved Wu Randong towards it. Second young master, go. No, Elder Yu. We'll all go. Wu Randong grabbed his hand and wouldn't let go, giving a wide smile. The elder nodded in contentment. But then many figures arrived. Look, someone's activated the commercial line to flee. Stop them. Rotten old man. Who the hell is that kid? You won't get away that easily. By order of the Prime Minister, leave none alive. There will be no survivors. The shouts carried thick bloodlust as they charged over. Elder Yu hardened and used Yuan Qi to send Wu Randong flying into the portal. Elder Yu. Wu Randong howled as the elder grew smaller and said with a fond smile, Second young master, you're not as able as eldest young master, but we, oldies, always liked your character. It's like looking at our younger selves. Also, the chairman never hated you. Please don't hold it against him. You are the last hope of the Wu clan and must live on. Stop them. They're escaping. The incoming men rushed faster and Elder Yu's warm smile fell as blood leaked from his lips, laughing, ha ha ha. You'll never catch my young master. With ripples coming off his body, the men realized with shock what was happening. He's gonna blow. Boom. Elder Yu already began to explode before they could react. Sending a wave of dust all around, the pursuers ended up coughing blood and flung back. By the time they got their feet under them and the dust settled, the commercial line had been broken. They had no way of following now. The fighting at the city gates was drawing to a bloody close as well. Wu clan's fighters were down to their last men, with most dead and the rest captured. As for the father and son, they easily fell into Bailey Jingwei's hands. Clapping, Bailey Jingwei gave the men a look and they all flew to the official line. To get back to the imperial capital, Bailey Jingwei walked to the cold spectator of this onslaught, Murong Shui, and smiled. Greetings, miss. I've been so caught up with business that I forgot my manners. I offer my sincere apologies. It's fine. I was just witnessing Prime Minister Bailey's handiwork, and I must say you live up to your name. Murong Shui spoke flatly. Bailey Jingwei beamed and shook his head. Ha ha ha. There's no need for sarcasm, miss. I'm sure miss overheard my decision. The day the Empire rules the lands is nigh. Miss should consider your brother and advise him to renounce any pointless resistance. I never interfered in my brother's matters. Prime Minister, please have a word with him when you can spare the time. Murong Shui smiled. Bailey Jingwei paused and shook his head. It was clear from what transpired that a third of the imperial capital's official were now kissing the dust. Did he have the time to entertain Murong Lai? Murong Shui's words were no different than a rejection. He wasn't the least bit angry, though, since he was used to these grand experts' behaviors. Patience was a must when trying to win them over. Miss Murong, what might be the purpose of your visit to Goldbough City? Is there anything I could assist you with? Ha ha ha. I wanted to make use of Serene Shores Trading's commercial line to get back to southern lands. But with Prime Minister sparing none of their men, I'm afraid I will have to walk there. That's out of the question. Such a small matter shouldn't be enough to trouble the merchants. I shall offer the official line for miss instead. Bailey Jingwei waved dismissively. Murong Shui raised a dainty eyebrow and wore a sneer. That wouldn't do, Prime Minister Bailey, to mix personal and official matters. Helping miss is purely official. If your brother would appreciate the gesture and have a chat with me, it'll be even more selfless. Bailey Jingwei spoke with a straight back. Murong Shui smiled. I wonder what Prime Minister is so eager to share with my brother, of being expendable and how life has no value. Miss, after you. Bailey Jingwei's face twitched, being jabbed with his own words. His face fell, and his expression hardened. Murong Shui ignored him as she entered the carriage and Juer drove it out of the city. Chapter 968, Demon Spirit Stone's Origin. Chapter 968, Demon Spirit Stone's Origin. Proofreader, Papatonks. Elder Yu. In the wake of thunderclap and violent winds, Wu Randong drifted further and further into the portal. His vision brightened at some point and passed through a bright exit as he stepped on grassland. Looking back, the bright light got cut off and the portal vanished. Wu Randong panicked and shouted, wanting to go save them, But he had no way of going back now. He could only shout himself hoarse at his weakness, heart filled with hatred and sorrow. Thump. Steps approached and a thin man stopped 10 meters behind him, carrying on his back a sleeping child. Second young master. Who knew we'd meet again so soon? Well met. Ha ha ha. Wu Randong shook all over at the familiar and equally terrifying voice. He turned a stiff head to see the same sharp eyes, and fury lashed out from his burning eyes. His desire for this man's blood was plain to see, his knuckles cracking as he made his fists. Second young master, have you been well the past 3 days? Zhua Fan, still carrying Gu Santong on his back, ignored the warranted killer vibes coming off Wu Randong. Showing his bright and cruel grin with ample meaning, Wu Randong's face twitched and wheezed, gnashing his teeth in hatred. You ruined my family. You had them all killed. Are you sure? Zhua Fan's smile never faltered, still as infuriating as ever. Wu Randong shook with hatred. Elder, you told me while he helped me flee that it's because of your damn stones that Bailey Jingwei came to destroy our company. Father and brother's fates are unknown. All because of you, bastard. You owe me thousands of lives. Wu Randong stomped and shot for Zhua Fan with brutal hatred, wanting nothing more than to kill him and end his pain. Zhua Fan wasn't one to follow anyone's wishes, merely sidestepping at the last second and whacking him with his Qilin arm, so hard the tough young man was in a 10-meter big crater. Wu Randong bled from the mouth, not even budging in his newfound hole, not like he could from the immense pressure he felt on his spine as a scarlet arm simply held him there, giving the struggling and defeated guy a cold look. Zhua Fan mocked. Second young master, you can't beat me, so save your energy. And isn't this what you always wanted? Do you regret it maybe? Cut the crap. When did I ever say I wanted the company? Wu Randong howled in fury, but then he stopped. Frozen stiff, he began to recall something that had him spooked. Zhua Fan grinned and took back his arm, standing and saying, Remember now? 3 days ago, at the tavern you said you wanted it destroyed. Shouldn't you be having a victory dance right about now? Ha ha ha. It was only in anger that I said it. How could I want for? Wu Randong winced as he looked at Zhua Fan in regret. There was no way for him to know that this man would take his words seriously and that he had the power to follow through. In 3 days, the company became the Empire's target and burned to the ground. Who is he? The devil? Heart overcome with dread, Wu Randong regarded Zhua Fan in fear. Zhua Fan read him like a book and jeered. Youngster, think before you speak. In anger, you say? I took them at face value. You said you wanted it ruined, and so I made your wish come true. I also told you not to regret it, but now, ha ha, no, I regret it. Sir, I know you're a great man and can save the company along with my father and brother. You have to. I beg of you, save them. Zhua Fan's gaze left Wu Randong unable to read his intention and grew more nervous as he begged. Zhua Fan shook his head. Second young master, you can escape every hardship the world throws at you, but never from your own sins. It would have been easy to stop it if I was the sole reason for your company's plight. But since I have nothing to do with it, being the company's sin, I have no solution. Our sin? Yes, sin. Zhua Fan gave a vague smile as he explained. Second young master, haven't you always despised your company's style? Allow me to open your eyes to the cruel truth you'll most certainly hate. 3 years ago, your friend and his sister were sent to Bailey Jingyu by your father and brother. It wasn't that degenerate suddenly taking a fancy of her. What? Wu Randong cried out in denial. No way. You're lying. Zhua Fan smiled. I have no reason to lie to you. This is something I managed to squeeze out of Bailey Jingyu in the last 3 days. Your dad and brother's lips are sealed, but that dead weight just loves to prattle. And your dad did it not to win the fool's favor, but to have leverage over him. The company grew so much because they showed weakness through accommodation, while hiding their strength underneath, doing anything to further their goals. Impossible. Those were our guards. Dad would never. Wu Randong was still in denial, refusing to hear a word Zhua Fan said, who continued regardless. Businessmen value money over friendship. To them, everything is weighed. Throwing away 2 servants for complete control over the city lord was a bargain for them. Think back on that event. How did Bailey Jingyu act around your company before and after? Humph, I only needed to use your commercial line for a bit, which hardly warranted the approval of that deadweight. As a result, your father still wanted to gang up with the Lord so he'd milk me for all he could. Simply blinded by greed. Wu Randong shuddered, but then those events played back in his mind. Yes, Bailey Jingyu was very cocky before then after that. Then what about that stone? Didn't you give it to us? Whoosh. A black cover spread and everything turned dark. Wu Randong cried in fright. Domain Soul Harmony? Yes, this is my domain. With a hum, the domain brightened and Wu Randong could see Zhua Fan in front. He had many human-shaped black stones, with looks of fear, horror, and all kinds of pained expressions. The worst part, there were thousands upon thousands of them. Zhua Fan grinned at his achievement. Second young master, what do you think these are? Demon Spirit Stone? Wu Randong stared. Zhua Fan shook his head. There's no such thing like that in the world. A man's cultivation is based on his own hard work. The world doesn't give shortcuts. These are people. People? Precisely. Zhua Fan nodded with a stony face. I have killed many with this rare devouring domain of mine, turning them as you see before you. The reason why using the demonic spirit stone got you to fly through the ranks is because you were using another's Yuan Qi. But this Yuan Qi was made with my special demonic art. I'm fine if I use them, but I can't say the same for the rest. One's Yuan Qi becomes infected, and would lead to this result as well. Now do you know what got your company to suffer this calamity? It's because the users of this item had died from it. That means you did this to us? No, you did it yourself. Wu Randong accused, but Zhua Fan berated in an even higher tone. These Yuan Qi stones are my creation and will be fine using them, but even I won't be reckless and use so many to cause my cultivation to soar. That's because I know greed is our downfall. There are no shortcuts in the world. Using all these stones will lead to an unstable cultivation and a messy Yuan Qi. I don't want to see it happen. I do want to grow stronger fast, for my own goals, but I control my desires, exercising moderation. As for your company, they went straight to using it without fully understanding its effects. Now problems arose, huge ones, threatening their lives and causing their demise. Who is to blame, I wonder? Everything is balanced in the world. Going too far in one aspect and giving up everything else will lead to dire consequences. You've been too greedy, and it was only a matter of time before disaster struck. Not to mention, what? Wu Randong rushed to ask. Zhua Fan took a deep breath. Sword Star Empire has wanted to restrain your company for a long time. Today was only the trigger. Even without the demonic spirit stones making a mess of things, one day, the Sword Star Empire would have come for your head using some other excuse. It was only a matter of time. While now, with it coming all of a sudden, the other party suffered out of nowhere and came unprepared, leaving you with a glimmer of hope. You ought to thank me for that.